Onwards.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to ETN, the most European podcast in the world.
Let's go.
European style. What an absolute banger of a lineup we have for you today, but also what a banger of a lineup in terms of news. One of the maddest, I guess, not even week, just past 2 days.
Yeah.
Sovereign AI,
like
500 million fund.
Yeah, this week.
NScale do 2 billion, largest Series C ever Europe's ever seen. Jan Lee Kun, literally
He's
this
back
morning.
in the headlines.
He's back.
Nick
Jan
Clegg
Lee
is
comes
back in the
back,
headlines.
and Cleggy Boys joined him. Board of director, love to see it. That's the largest European seed round of all time, 103 billion. And then the NScale round was a 2 billion, largest European Series C of all time. And it looks like things are heating up. And then obviously the UK Sovereign AI Fund, 500 million, chaired by none other than James Wise, partner of Boulderton. I had to...
We have to get James Wise back.
We do.
It'll be his third appearance, but he just keeps doing awesome stuff.
He does.
And we want people who are doing awesome stuff on the show. So
We do.
We'll get him back on. Talking about people doing awesome stuff. Framer, build better sites faster. The all-in-one platform where enterprise teams design, build, and ship production-ready websites. No dev handoff, no bottlenecks, no creative compromises. Go to framer.com/ETN. I'm wearing Framer merch. Ronan's not wearing Framer merch, but he is holding his nice mug up.
I'm being caffeinated by Framer. Ceramic. Let's just see if we...
Caffeinated by Framer. Go to framer.com. Nice.
That sound? That's the sound of quality.
Exactly.
Right there. You love to see it.
Indeed. Indeed you do.
Maybe
should we jump into
run
the news?
through...
Or are we going to jump into the... should we do some guests?
Maybe just some highlight guests. It's absolutely stacked, the lineup today, and it's back to back to back to back to back to back to back. Obviously, there's one that we can't mention.
Special guest right at the end at 2 p.m. So make sure you tune in at 2 specifically. Some mad stuff going down. It's going to be good. Yeah. Anyway, do you want to roll off the order of play?
Francesco Simonesci. I found an amazing... This is the founder of TrueLayer, by the way. I found an amazing photo of him. We didn't end up using it, but just a really cool... leather jacket snap.
Do you want to show the screen? Show the...
Well, no, because we had to change it. We had to change the photo that we ended up doing. But look, we're going to be talking about pay by bank, agentic commerce, the future of it. What does it look like? Payments as sovereignty. Is that now a strategic priority for Europe? And then obviously, the future of agentic commerce. We touched on a little bit of that with the CRO of Stripe for EMEA. Conor McNamara last week, really good conversation. That was off the back of Stripe's annual letter. John Collison, one of the Collison brothers, founder of Stripe, laid out 5 different stages that we were at in terms of the agentic commerce future. And basically said we're at stage 2 now. Stage 1 being you can just have an agent do very sort of minimal tasks for you. Stage 5 being agents are just completely work together on the back end. They are prompting your needs for you and buying what you need.
Did you see the Coinbase tweet talking about how more volume is going into more volume is going to be paid agent to agent than humans, right? And because agents can't access traditional banks like they could, on kind of cryptocurrencies and whatever, and on chain, he was basically just saying the future is on chain.
It makes sense,
Did 3.5 million impressions. I'll get up.
Yeah, because a lot of the problem is just the constant need to ask for permission to enter a thing. Do people want to let an agent into their personal finances?
That's the thing. They can't. That's the big thing. So they just can't.
Well, there we go. So it's like agents with wallets, and we're already seeing loads of startups pop up that are doing this. I'd imagine that they're always going to get acquired by all these larger blockchain companies, but some of them are flying, and they've founded in the past 3 months, basically off this hype of agentic commerce.
Yeah,
and
so
how crypto will play a role in this future.
So I thought it was posted by Coinbase, but it wasn't. It was posted by Brian Armstrong himself. He says very soon there are going to be more AI agents and humans making transactions. They can't open a bank account, but they can own a crypto wallet. Think about it. 3.5 million impressions. He's correct. 2K came out with a big, with a great tweet about 15 hours ago. Said the CEO of Coinbase just said something nobody's taking seriously enough. AI agents will outnumber humans in transactions soon. They can't open bank accounts, no ID, no SSN. Banks literally cannot serve them, but they already own crypto wallets. So the biggest economy of the next decade won't run through banks at all. It'll run through blockchains, not because crypto won, but because banks physically can't onboard a customer that isn't human. Banks weren't built for what's coming.
Yeah, Connor,
mega doom.
Relevant to what Connor was saying. Again, this was last week's show, but do we want the future of commerce to be borderless? Do we want it to be decentralized? Do we want it to be as minimal friction as possible? And if the answer to all those questions is yes, then crypto is a pretty decent way to go about that. Anyway,
Indeed.
One for later for sure.
We're bullish on Coinbase.
Guest number 2 is none other than Julian Beck, partner at Sequoia. We've got him on after his article went insanely viral recently, essentially saying
1.9, maybe 2 mil now.
Services the new software, the $10 trillion idea. A lot of people seem to be jumping onto it already.
It was such a good take. So we have a bit of time before Julian comes on, so we're gonna kind of deep dive it, but. We were talking about it this morning, how like VCs kind of jump on the idea.
I did see a few other people. I mean, obviously it's not super new.
I've been saying this. Like I've been saying that the new, that the opportunity is service. Yeah. Service is bigger than software, and it's like Julian kind of like.
And I don't know.
He just explained it. He didn't explain it maybe first, or he didn't have the first thing, but he explained it. The article is so well written, and just kind of like. Obviously outlined the industries that are kind of ripe for the disruption. He kind of outlines that software engineering is, I think it was like 94% of where agents are kind of living and working at the moment. Because it's basically an all intelligence thing, not a, we're now deep diving it. It's not an intelligence thing, and not a judgment thing. So the agents can kind of just solve coding via just because it's an intelligence problem.
Yeah,
but there's so much more opportunity in every other industry. Anyway, we will touch on that later.
We'll jump into that with Julian. Just let me tell you about Air Wallets. I want you guys to leave outdated business banking behind. With Air Wallets, it's the all-in-one financial platform built for the pace of modern business. Multi-currency accounts, corporate cards, expense management, online payments, all in one platform. Go to airwallets.com. The guest following Julian, after Julian, we have, I'm getting lost on my notes, but we have...
Is it the nominal guys?
No. It's Stefan from Cello. This is going to be a pretty cool one. They've just basically launched a partnership with they are launching the GTM 10 awards, and our friends at Lightspeed I think are involved in that as well. We're definitely involved last year. We're going to be diving into GTM, mainly GTM channels like SEO, cold calling, outbound. Have they collapsed in this AI driven world? Why the human signal is becoming the new growth advantage? Growth loops are replacing linear marketing channels. What does that mean? The rise of product led distribution and embedded referrals. That's going to be a really interesting one. It's nice to get a distribution side of things as we surround ourselves in this world of AI.
As distribution, it's the only moat. We have a tweet when we go into the town hall later today talking about the fact that distribution is the only moat. I know we keep saying it, but it was a good take, so we'll get on that.
I think people are desperately trying to hire distributors.
Yeah,
it's the new thing. It's the new fad. It's the new thing that's in.
Talking about distribution, and our next guest, Cameron McCord, and Sophie. Sorry, I've forgotten her last name. Who is it?
Head of UK and Europe.
Yeah, man.
I love how they've done like Europe and
Sophie Scannell.
UK.
Yes.
It's like we kind of just throw UK into Europe, but like I guess
throw it in there.
Specifically, it should really be Europe slash UK. The nominal guys. Oh, I just maybe should we just show some of this stuff off right now?
Talking about distribution. Do you want to put this on?
Well, I'm gonna put it on for them. I want to surprise them.
This is so good. This is so good.
This is the coolest thing out of this. This is wait. Can we do a close up on my face?
Yeah. Do that.
Is it on this one here?
Look at that.
Can you? Yeah. Get that out of my face. I want to do the catalog. And there's a page in here that I'm going to... This. Look at this.
The design is just incredible.
This is good. Can you see that one? Up a bit. Yeah? So this is... All these things here are actually customer case studies. And this one, if you can see it, I'm not sure how well you can see it because I can't see the thing, but it's a fish. And it's about a Japanese technique of when you catch a fish, you have to, I'm not sure if you know this. I actually did know this, but I didn't know what it was called. I'm not a fisherman, but I just knew this.
Look at you.
You have to...
A fisherman in a quarterzet.
Yes, very rare breed. There's not many of us left. I'm the last of my ancestors. But you have to... In order to maintain the freshness of the fish, there's a certain way you kill it, right? You're not just going to like beat the hell out of the fish because then the fish will be ruined. You get a tiny little needle thing and you just stab it in the brain, and then it kills the fish, and then it's fresh for longer because you don't really like mess up all the internal stuff. And this was saying that that is so Japanese sushi masters solved the problem of how you kill these fish to maintain the freshness. They solved it with a technique called ikejime, a precise spike to the brain, instant and humane, followed by bleeding and chilling. That's a bit different to like Netflix and chilling, isn't it? The result is fish that taste better and last 3 times longer. The problem? It takes years to learn and it doesn't scale. Enter Shinkei, their Poseidon robot, about the size of a mini fridge built by a team of former SpaceX and Anduril engineers, sits on fishing boats and performs perfect ikejime in 6 seconds flat. Computer vision finds the brain, the spike does the rest. What was once reserved for $400 omakase is now available at commercial scale, harvested by American fishermen on American boats with American-made machines. It's a better way to kill fish. That's a nominal customer spotlight. There's a bunch of these in here, including Anduril, of course.
The Anduril page is so cool.
Yeah.
The whole design, guys, is very cool.
Just look at this. This is
when
like...
we talk about distribution.
Can we just go again? Go closer maybe? Because I've just... And they just did, I think, 80 mil at $1 bill, I think it was. 80 mil at $1 bill. The team's background is absolutely
bonkers. Can we put
crap.
Can we try?
Well, I want to have it for the...
Oh, you want to have it?
Yeah.
Okay,
fine. For the thing, for the interview.
Well, they also gave us 3 caps, so we appreciate that. I'm wearing one, the dad cap. They also have...
We've got some snippets.
Yeah, some very cool. This is kind of like a retro golf vibe. It's in a British racing green. It has their logo on it, which is very cool.
It's beautiful.
And obviously their name on it as well. But it's
funny,
kind of like an anorak, texture.
Yeah, you were saying like vintage golfer type.
Vintage golfer vibe.
But it's funny how we
green,
get more American guests coming onto the European Technology Network. We are starting to increase our snapback portfolio, which is quite funny. And that correlation is not causation. I'm not sure what the data is specifically suggesting, but as more Americans come on the show, our snapback portfolio increases. So, which is quite a joke. That's a little bit different because that's cord.
What do you mean? This is a snapback.
Is that a snapback?
A different material.
Yeah, I guess it is actually.
The clay grow snapback, and then you've got the
shout out to Varun, recently opened their offices in London.
The nominal British racing green snapback. So snapback game is very strong in ETN today,
which is great. Anyway, next guest after the nominal team, we've got Yasser Al Said, the CEO at Chatbase, the Bootstrap King. What did 8 mil ARR with only 18 people, which was announced at the end of last year. That was December, so literally just 3 months ago.
They hit a mil ARR in like 120 days or something.
117 days, but also let's just say that was when it was cool and also real.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I've just found this £5 note on the floor and now my ARR is like 5 million because you're extrapolating.
No, I've got a customer who's paying me a mil, but then I also pay them a mil, so it's kind of like.
This is when it was real and cool
to
do a mil in a mil ARR.
He also wrote genuinely one of the, and I don't want to say this lightly because it really isn't. It was one of the best articles I've ever read on X, like full stop. And I'm chronically on X articles reading rubbish, but it was called King Making Yourself. If you don't read it, you're going to lose. Go and read it because it's really, really good. And it actually might change your life. It's a great way of thinking.
It's good.
So we're going to ask him a few questions about that. Obviously about Chatbase, what they're doing, about their strategic simulation and their goals for 2026. And just understanding how he is as a founder. I think he's great. He's a great guy.
Yeah, it's going to be a great insight. Do we bootstrap today? Do we not? I mean, it's becoming ever more increasingly easy
the solo founder, right?
To just solo it up. Well, not.
And then sell your company to OpenAI for $1 billion. Go Peter Steinberger.
Yeah, just Steinberger that thing. But yeah,
big
it's
caveat
like,
to the $1 billion, but
it's become so much more easy to do, right? Barriers to entry so much lower. Ideas guy can build. Builders can become, well, I guess builders can't really become ideas guys. So maybe it's ideas guys are back in business. But definitely going to jump into a lot of the do we raise, do we not environment with him.
it is definitely the era of the idea guy.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. Our stock price has gone
That's why
up.
we're up.
Yeah, we're up right now. After that, we have Eleanor Werner, who I'm pretty sure leads growth at Lovable. Her LinkedIn page says growth at Lovable, but her background is just one of the most insane CVs I think we'll have on the show from a growth perspective and just from a general perspective as well. Just to give you a bit of an understanding of what she's done in the past. SVP of growth at SurveyMonkey, SVP of consumer product at Malwarebytes, interim CMO and then CMO at Miro, then an advisor. Also an advisor at MongoDB, Ledgy, Veed, Superhuman, Vimeo. Did, according to her LinkedIn, growth stuff at Dropbox. Then was a partner at 20VC and is now doing growth at Lovable. I'm pretty sure in a leadership role.
Beast.
I'm very, very, very excited to understand how the growth role has changed from the early days, right? Because growth means a lot of different things now compared to what it did 10 years ago. I'm not even sure the growth was like a really sought after role back then. It was more just like, let's just get a big room of like hungry BDRs and SDRs and just tell them to blast the market with outbound calls. Now it's a little bit more strategic. You can scale things a lot easier. You don't need a 50-person BDR team. You could just have one good GTM engineer and they can maybe do the same, obviously dependent on your product. But Eleanor is also coming on to talk about the She Builds program. So Lovable on National Women's Day basically made the whole platform free for the whole day.
They also got $120 of Stripe credits and I want to say Microsoft or something.
Oh, for people within the cohort.
Yeah.
So that's a program that it seems that she'll be leading. So we're going to talk to her a little bit more about that. But yeah, it was nuts to see that they made the whole Lovable product free.
And they get 10,000. So I read this the other day. They get 10,000 projects started or built. I think they said built a day. 10,000 projects a day from just people, which is very cool.
Got a lot of stuff going through there.
So super good program, She Builds program. We're going to talk to Eleanor about that. And then we have a special guest.
Yeah, whoa, I thought you were...
at 2 p.m. If you want to tune in, it's going to be a good 15-minute chat. If we can grab 15 minutes with them. I'm very excited. It's going to be good.
I'm also very excited. Just keep an eye out.
Just keep an eye out, And
you may see
something.
Maybe
put some predictions out there. Go to polymarket.com, the world's largest prediction market. Stay informed and profit from your knowledge. Go to polymarket.com. Let's jump into the news because that was way too smooth. So Jan LeCun is back in the headlines. He's raised $1 billion seed. It's Europe's largest ever.
So just quickly, what's joke about this is Europe's largest. Sorry to just like completely blast you out here.
By like 3 mil.
Yeah. Because of Thingy Fish's $1 bill.
It's so rough. Imagine.
Ineffable intelligence.
How long ago was that? He held the record for...
like 2 weeks.
David Silver. Is it David Silver, right?
Yeah, Silver or Fisher, I can't remember. But it's for ineffable intelligence. Silver sounds right. But yeah, broke the record by 3 mil.
Yeah, David.
Or was it? No, 30 mil it'll be.
30 mil.
By a magnitude of 10. Which is funny. So had the largest, and again, like I am now thinking about, I think we did mention last time, but H Company raised like a really big, that might have been a pre-seed actually. I'm just going to check super quick. It was like
seed.
€1 billion maybe. Oh no, sorry. I want it. 220 million seed. Is that it? It's literally nothing.
You're super wrong.
It's absolutely tiny.
Yeah, pretty mad. So Jan LeCun launches a $1.03 billion AI startup. Ami Labs, the Paris-based advanced machine intelligence lab, aims to develop world models from sensor data like videos and images, enabling AI to predict, reason, and plan, and remain safe for uses in robotics, healthcare, manufacturing, and wearables. It's backed by Bezos Expeditions, NVIDIA, Temasek, bonkers, right?
Yeah.
They've also So Alex LeBron is now because he was semi in the shadows, right? And now it's kind of like I'm joining this thing and I'm like leading it. So Alex LeBron, he is the CEO, and just a bunch of like Meta people, basically just Meta mafia, just
rolling through,
going bonkers.
So this is from the FT. Yanli Kunze, AI startup, raises more than $1 billion in Europe's largest seed round ever. Meta's former chief AI scientist, he's been dubbed the godfather of AI, launches Ami Labs with backing from Nvidia, Temasek, and Jeff Bezos.
Yanli Kun came on X and he said, unveiling our new startup, advanced machine learning intelligence, Ami Labs. We just completed our seed round, $1.03 billion. One of the largest seeds ever, probably the largest for a European company. We're hiring. And then, so on the Ami Labs, so he quote tweeted the Ami Labs, announcement. And he says in the kind of, in brackets at the bottom, just goes, the background image is the Veil Nebula, a picture I took from my backyard, most appropriate for an unveiling. And
so cool.
It's just a very cool picture of the night sky, of a nebula, just beautifully that looks like it's been kind of designed, just graphic design.
If you do have access to X now, go and look at his
go to Ami Labs, have a look at that picture that has the Ami Labs logo on it in white, and behind it is is the Veil Nebula.
So if your founder isn't taking,
or the Veil Nebula, sorry,
isn't using your launch for his personal photo collection of the galaxy, then
you're losing.
You really even in the race? Probably not.
Yeah. So basically, the core thesis here is that everyone's doing Gen AI, like generative AI. Ami Labs is basically saying like that is the wrong thing. We're going completely in the other direction, and we're doing world models. They're like that's basically the whole thing.
Yeah,
and no one else is doing it, I think.
He's been quoted saying that like LLMs have a cap. Like this is not the path to AGI. It's a good path that we've gone down, but it's kind of like we've gone down there, and I just can't see the future of AGI within that. He's basically betting big on world models. A little bit more about the funding. So the 1.03 billion seed round is second only to US startup Thinking Machines Labs. That's been dubbed Thinking Machines Labs after we've had a bunch of co-founders leave, which raised $2 billion last June. The new venture, this is now for Ami Labs, the new venture has a pre-money valuation of 3.5 billion. It will be led by Alexandre Lebrun, the former chief executive of French startup Nabla, with Lee Kun serving as executive chair. I saw as well, 20 VC got in the round. I'm pretty sure by Julian. I think there was maybe a pre-existing relationship between him and Alexander Lebrun, who was previously the co-founder and CEO of Nabla, who will be...
Nabala.
I think it's Nabla. Is it Nabala?
I think it's Nabala.
Okay, can you check?
Yeah.
I just want to see. But he is leaving his role as CEO, but he will be moving into an advisory position, maybe staying on as chairman.
I know you're right. It's Nabla.
Thank you. He'll be staying on as
generational fail
chairman.
Game over.
So sad.
Let's leave now.
But he'll. It's been announced. He's CEO. He's CEO and also co-founder of this venture.
Yeah.
So let's just look at some of the stuff. So here we have the startup will build on work by Lee Kun at Meta on new AI architecture that can learn about the world through videos and spatial data rather than just language. So this is speaking to the cap that he believes LLMs have essentially.
What's most interesting is the fact that Meta aren't an investor, but they're like a partner. So like they're like helping to kind of commercialize the model. And it's great for them because they're essentially like outsourcing their R&D in something that like might not work. But they also heavily like doubling down /in Gen AI, right? So like Meta's core focus internally is generative AI, LLMs, whatever and they can obviously feed that through their kind of distribution engine, of which is kind of Instagram, whatever. But they're also done this commercial partnership, not having invested, but like having, I don't know, the strategic tie. I don't know what that deal looks like, but essentially they're able to kind of plug into the Ami Labs models when and if they want to, and And I think that's genius. Like that's such an amazing way, because if world models become the thing that that Jan Kun kind of says they're going to be, it's a bull case for Meta to kind of be way ahead of basically any other AI lab.
You've got to have some exposure. Yeah, they were in the news recently for the superintelligence lab that Zuck was building out there. There was a story run about how Alex Wang had been sidelined basically after the Scale AI acquisition. He was leading the superintelligence lab there, but it just come out that this is false. The CTO of Meta recently commented on it, but there was a headline that went out, I think in the Indian FT, from their news aggregators that essentially repurposing the story, repurposed it, and it repurposed it and repurposed it and repurposed it. And it's kind of like Chinese whispers, like you whisper something to one person, it goes around a circle, and by the end, when it returns to you, it's a completely new sentence. Basically, that happened, and the story the false story was that he'd been sidelined and he'd been sort of moved away from the project. But the CTO of Meta recently came out like this morning and said, "Hey, this is not true." His roles and responsibilities are increasing. If anything, we're not moving to the side. So that was discussed this morning from Meta and their AI lab. A few more on this particular story here. Anything that involves understanding the real world, we think large language models and generative AI in general is not the right solution, said Chief Executive LeBrun. We have at least a year of research before deploying our first real-world applications, but this is not an applied AI company. It is part of a global race among venture investors to identify the next big, this is no longer a quote, it is part of a global race among venture investors to identify the next big AI giant following the success of the likes of OpenAI and Anthropic. It mentions last month, the FT reported that David Silver, one of Britain's top AI researchers, is in discussions to raise $1 billion in a round led by Sequoia for his new venture, Ineffable Intelligence. Did they go on to say...
But
I was going to say, and then he was dethroned.
But he's been dethroned.
They don't.
But yeah, mad, insane day for European tech yesterday. Mad Monday morning. So like Isambard Group, 500 mil raise led by USV. The UK Sovereign AI launches the £500 million fund. Like
is that Andrew Bennett's tweet?
Yeah. No. Yeah. Yes. And the NScale.
Shout out to Andrew Bennett.
$2 billion raise. Absolutely bonkers. That all happened literally yesterday morning. So congrats to them, and thanks to Andrew Bennett for the good tweet.
Yep, and the great work he carries out at British Progress.
Indeed. But let's move on to NScale. NScale raises Europe's largest ever Series C with $2 billion at a $14.6 billion valuation. They have done a board expansion, and the company generally is like very, very nuts. But do you want to jump into the
they've got a launch video. So it wasn't really in other major headlines.
No, so they did their own internal press release,
which I love. I'm a huge fan of this going direct.
Well, should we watch the?
Yeah, I think we should. Just quick, so NScale, they raised largest Series C ever in Europe at $2 billion, led by ASA and 1890 Industries. This round values NScale at $14.6 billion. So let's have a little look at this awesome. I've not watched this yet, so I hope it's appropriate. I'm sure it is. I don't know. Maybe they just had a bit of fun with it.
We build and operate the data centers, the compute clusters, and the software layer required to run some of the largest AI workloads.
Okay, quite soft for a launch.
Today, I'm proud
bit different.
to share
I mean, they're NScale. They're not going to
raise the largest Series C funding round in European history, totaling $2 billion.
Why did this not go more?
The round is led by Arca ASA and 8090 Industries, with participation from Citadel, Jane Street, Point72, Linden, Astra Capital, Nvidia, Dell, Lenovo, and Nokia.
Lenovo getting in there. You love to see it.
Dude, Nokia. I'm telling you.
Nokia, they're back.
Bull case on Nokia.
We have now raised more than $5 billion. We've contracted hundreds of thousands of GPUs, totaling more than 1 gigawatt of power, and we've built a 5.5 gigawatt power pipeline for development supporting our global expansion. These numbers matter because they translate into something important for our customers, which is access to the scarce compute capacity, delivered faster, and run reliably in production at massive scale. And we've done it while staying focused on execution, delivering capacity.
It's funny how different this is to like
muscle and scaling.
you know, like a traditional launch video or something like that, right? Like it's
I think we should move on.
Yeah, there's almost
because we don't have that long. But anyway,
But it was brilliant. This is brilliant.
Apart from this, they've done a huge board expansion. So they have Sheryl Sandberg. She is the former CEO of Meta on the board now. Susan Decker, former president at Yahoo, now on the board. And our boy Nick Clegg, back in the hot seat, obviously former UK Deputy Prime Minister and the current President of Global Affairs at Meta. Also, he runs, what's the firm? I can't remember the firm's name.
He is an advisor to Hero Capital.
Nice. Boom. NScale just isn't just doing capital. They're like,
Sorry, no, he works at Hero Capital. Jan Lee Kunt is an advisor to Hero Capital.
Okay, there you go. But I mean, look, they basically control the whole of like the AI like supply chain. They do like the energy, the infrastructure, hardware, software for the whole stack, which is obviously like the bull case, right? So it's like most of NScale's competitors basically like just rent like the space, like the server space. But NScale basically build the whole thing. So they have the energy layer, which is basically just the whole energy source stack, basically.
Great. Love it.
Physical infrastructure, they basically design their own data centers for you to plug into whenever you need to, which is cool. They deploy GPUs, and they also have the software layer, which is basically just building everything behind it. Most don't do that. So huge bull case for NScale.
I think all of this is just adding up to like, I guess we have what's the word? Not bad. We just see a lot of volume of this stuff because it's our job to do so. And also we research it and we talk to the people coming on the show that are announcing these things. But it does start to give him, and I'm not sat here saying like, we're going to take down NVIDIA and we're going to take down OpenAI. But it is starting to become very, very, very clear that there is people who are, those who are essentially like, have the most money and are looking for the best like arbitrage opportunities within the AI world are increasingly more likely to come and look at London as an opportunity to like, okay, we've kind of not like, we've got a lot out of the US and that's great, but why are we not pumping a little bit more into this tiny little island over here that seems to have, DeepMind, Google, Facebook offices just to be honest, specifically in King's Cross. Yeah. Like in that little, let's call it the Golden Triangle.
Anthropic are, but
they'll have like shadow offices or something like that, I imagine. Like not proper like buildings and stuff, but maybe some sort of
So
they're not in like
becoming increasingly
you know what I mean? Imagine that. It's like OpenAI just moved into my WeWork.
Yeah. They just got a few desks down the down the road.
Yeah, there's Sam at the coffee machine. Yeah. Sam at the Camden Hells tap on a Friday. Oh, what a week! God, so Anthropic are doing all right, aren't they? Get me a Camden Hells tap. Obviously that would never happen.
Sam at Anthropic?
No, he's saying like, oh, Anthropic are doing pretty well. Like, get me a
beer.
Yeah, get me a beer, would you?
That would be proper London maxing. To be fair, he would be doing a good job.
That would be insane if that happened. I'm not sure it will, but I would love it to. Anyway, moving on from that.
Let's jump into the Anthropic news. We covered this last week. Following on, Anthropic have now sued the Pentagon after their supply chain risk. TLDR, basically, Anthropic were labeled a supply chain risk after the Defense Secretary, Pete Hegseth, demanded all lawful use of AI without restrictions, but he was actually refused by Dario. Then he was obviously labeled as a supply chain risk, and now Anthropic have basically said, nah, you guys can go away.
And we saw Sadiq Khan reached out and said, hey, come over here. We'll welcome you with open arms here in London.
Come to London.
Which, to be honest, out of every country they could possibly move to, I do think they would be like most well received. Well, they'd be well received anywhere, I think, but it would maximize their value if they were to move, like out of all the other opportunities they could possibly select. But this is from George Hammond and Joe Miller from the FT. Anthropic sues Pentagon claiming supply chain risk label could cost billions in revenue. Startup launches legal challenge against the decision to designate it a risk to US military supply chains. And this was quite snappy, by the way. As we were watching this unfold live, there were a lot of emotions coming through from senior US leaders who decided to take to X to voice their concerns. Peter Hesgarth included a lot of use of capital letters, a few insults thrown in there as well. And it was looking a little bit like a kind of an angry reaction. There was emotion in the messages, which riled up the timeline. This spawned essentially almost like a politicization of AI labs a little bit. We discussed it with Dom Hallis over Startup Coalition, but one example would be like Katy Perry, who was cancelling her OpenAI subscription and moving to Claude, and saying I disagree with the government's decision.
It was a bit,
as a small, but it got a bit messy. Not messy, but yeah, it's always going to happen.
Well, it was funny because they framed their restrictions as safety guardrails to like obviously prevent misuse, right? But the administration characterized them as ideological whims and woke.
Yeah. There was
two
I don't
different definitions for I guess the same thing, right?
It is a really interesting debate. Mm-hmm. I do feel there are relevant arguments on both sides. But jumping back into the article, Anthropic has sued the Pentagon and other federal agencies to challenge the decision to brand the AI lab as a supply chain risk, claiming the move could knock billions of dollars off its revenues this year, just as they were on a tear as well. I think it was 19 bill. They'd done 5 bill in like half a year. Anthropic had
they've kept all of their so they kept Amazon, Microsoft, Google. They still intend to be close for non-defense work.
But I don't get okay, so they've been labeled a supply chain risk. Can people still if that happens, and I still want to go and use Anthropic? Is that okay?
That's fine. Yeah.
So I guess it's just
less. So it's less about non-defense. It's less about non-defense work. It's more potentially hurt media. Their narrative. 2, they are just completely out of all military contracts, just indefinitely. Which what was it? $200 million contract. Fine. That's not that much compared. That's a drop in the ocean. But it's kind of everything else behind that will come. So it's every military contract they'll be out of, non-defense work, fine. But it was the amicus brief. Basically the whole thing of the amicus brief, which was signed by I found that 30 engineers from Google and OpenAI signed. But it basically argues that punishing top US firms for its safety stance could damage the country's overall scientific and industrial competitiveness, essentially. Yeah. So it's for an Anthropic side, it's why would we work with that country when we can't kind of tap into, I don't know what the percentage of non-military to military defense contracts and revenue would be. I assume not 50-50, but it's it will be a huge chunk.
It's also just not good,
generally,
to be honest, the marketing has actually done them a favour.
Well, from a consumer standpoint, come over here,
Yeah, well, yeah, true.
Come in London, Max, with us.
But what happens to the relationships with Palantir? Did Palantir have to stop working with them? I'm pretty sure that they're pretty well in. Anthropic are pretty intensely integrated into everything that they do. But I don't know. Does is that when the US government is then looking at Palantir you gonna back us or what? And Palantir it's kind of really important, for our business, but obviously you guys are great. We really like working with you and stuff. But do you
think this is how the conversations go?
Well, maybe the carps just in between Dario and Pete.
I think this is great.
Look, guys, we all get along here. We're all doing cool stuff. We're all friends here.
I don't think that's how.
I don't think that's happening either. But anyway, back into the article. The company on Monday asked a federal court in California to declare the designation, usually reserved for Chinese and Russian vendors, arbitrary and capricious. It also asked a judge to block the Trump administration from implementing it. The US government was seeking to destroy the economic value created by one of the world's fastest growing private companies, the company's lawyer wrote. Anthropic's reputation and core First Amendment freedoms are under attack. And, in a way, it's kind of... There's arguments that this is one for Anthropic side. It's what type of message does that send to other US businesses? Hey, bend the knee, or we label you supply chain risk.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, that's what the That was what the amicus brief was.
Yeah. But also, like
there
will
guys,
be
you're
people,
going to lose the competitiveness,
Yeah.
if that's the
send
narrative.
people away.
Yeah.
But there will be people like, oh yeah, that's fine. Like it's the government. Like they are the democratic elected power of the country. Like we should be giving them whatever they need, right? So again, now we're getting into like, ooh, what side are you on?
It'll obviously be. Look, we touched on it before the other show last week, but it was like it's obviously going to be a thing when the models just get so good that you can do things that humans would not be able to do as fast, etc. And the performance just gets so good that then it becomes like a threat basically, and it looks like this is where it's obviously going. We've hit that point basically.
Yeah. More from there. So the group's chief financial officer, Krishna Rao, said in a separate filing that multiple billions of dollars worth of contracts could be jeopardized if customers decided doing business with Anthropic would compromise their work with the government. So that's okay. So that's like maybe the Palantir example, right? Like if I do work with Anthropic, will that compromise my relationship with the administration? With like Carp's like, yes, I want to work with you guys, but we've got a good thing going on here with the government. Like a lot of our revenue comes from them. But it's
again, this is how it goes. It goes down in like
it's obviously
blank
not
street coffee
to be fair,
shop.
I'm sure Carp would probably be down for a chat like that. He's a bit erratic, but the startup last week said the vast majority of its customers would be unaffected by the US sanction. Through the company's key partners, Amazon, Microsoft, and Google have said that they would retain ties to Anthropic outside of defense work. Anthropic has raised $60 billion to date, and the group's annualized revenues are about $19 billion. That was 14 billion. Like 6 months prior to announcing the 19 billion, like the revenue scale rate was absolutely nuts.
What do you think about Anthropic's narrative in the ecosystem generally in the market now? Because we were talking about, I think it was on the Tuesday show when we were kind of going through this live and we went through the whole chronological order of what's this whole story. But it basically ended like Anthropic are now on top narratively to OpenAI and to Google, and therefore they are now in the front running just purely because of this thing that's completely irrelevant really, but obviously has relevance in terms of like a narrative thing of like this is what we stand for type thing.
I think what I've realized,
researchers who are like deep into it are kind of siding with Anthropic.
Yeah, I think so. Yes, like if we like, they were after the ads sort of dig. I think overall that was pretty well received when they ads are coming to AI, but not in.
I think it was probably well received, like because it was a Super Bowl ad, right? So it's probably very well received in the US in terms of like the normie crowd.
Well, so I think well received in the tech ecosystem, but in the like non-tech native ecosystem,
it was probably like
it was just
these things are.
Well, it was just boo AI.
Yeah,
like it wasn't like they didn't understand the intricacies. If they were like, boo, that is taking my job. Like it could be any company. They'd be like, why is that on the thing? Like, boo, like
fine. They weren't like yo ads.
Yeah,
they're not
like,
using the using.
Oh,
like,
Dario's got Sama. Like, I don't think they were doing that. I think they were more like, this looks like it's coming from my job.
Standard guy who works in like accounting.
Yeah. I don't think they were as in tune to it. But speaking specifically within the tech industry, in terms of narrative, they've just had a consistent and consecutive sort of like 4 to 5 back-to-back dubs as things have progressed. But
they're shipping quick as well,
and they are killing industries as they please. It's like the Grim Reaper's knocking on the door. They've seen that meme. But what I have started to realize recently, and it was mainly when the Cursor news broke that they'd crossed 2 billion ARR, was that I do think the community tends to over-index on narratives and trending on stuff that's trending on X. Like seeing the it was like Cursor's dead. Like no one uses Cursor anymore. Like people do it. Oh, I just fired my whole engineering team, and like now I've just got an open claw running my blah blah blah. There are so many of those posts, and there are so many of these narratives that are getting pushed for like Claude killed this industry, but Cursor to just come out and announce like, yeah, we're at 2 billion ARR. Like, hey, we've been gone for a little bit, but like, hey, we're here. And there's I think yes, we over-index on narratives because I think our feedback loop of information is so small in our community that we work in. But I do think that we tend to forget that there's like a larger sort of, like realm of individuals outside of the, like specifically in the niche circles, that there's almost like a lag effect. And I'm not saying that like models probably won't win overall in the long term. They probably will based on what we're seeing right now. But there is a lag effect to that. Like that's not instant. It's not like tweet goes out, check this, Claude just killed this industry.
Bang, done.
Boom, see you guys. It's like they are still have got long-term contracts and all that sort of stuff. So narrative-wise, I think they're on top right now.
I mean, naturally, it's gonna take time, like in years, kind of time aspect, to like trickle down into basically everything. Like white collar jobs, obviously, it's not like everyone's gonna wake up tomorrow and not have a job.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like just like consecutive punches, when CEOs are basically like writing on Twitter, but also like writing, and then that then goes into kind of mainstream media like the FT, the Wall Street Journal, whatever, of like, oh, this like CEO who runs a multi-million, tens of million, hundreds of million, billion, dollar company has just fired X amount of staff. You're kind of seeing that with the consulting firms. Then they're kind of their hiring have gone, so like early stage careers, the stats are like absolutely like mental. From 5 years ago to now, it's something like over 80% of early stage careers are not being hired for now.
Yeah.
And so I think it's a trickle down effect, and it will take probably years to like reach everything. But in where we sit, which is like, I guess the kind of top echelon of like career stuff, where things move generally quicker, kind of in the high finance, whatever, consulting, all of that kind of stuff. Like that's probably, I don't know, not even 10% of the whole population. That's where things will change quicker.
Yeah. They'll be shocked. And I was thinking about the
and that's where it really matters most, because that's where the concentration of like money goes into, right? So it's like, yes, it's maybe less than 10% of the whole population, but it's probably more than 50% of where capital flows. Saying that, then you've got like the services industry, which
but bands of errors within that, obviously by a couple percent or whatever.
But does that make sense?
Yeah. What I was thinking about the other day was we've had the conversation on early careers and just on
we're
the
being
job
mega
thing.
doomer, by the way.
No, it's not doomer. But I was thinking on the job thing, on the early careers thing, where like, what do you do if you come out of uni now, right? Like you've got your degree, what do you do? I think gone are the days of...
I'd just naturally go and start a company.
Well, I think that's not like, it doesn't have to be start a company, but you have to do something on your own or with someone, and then show someone the thing you did, whether it's via email, whether it's via LinkedIn, whether it's like blah, blah, blah. It's not anymore, finish uni, waltz into a job that you don't really want to do, but you're just doing it because you can just get in, sit there for, all these fake jobs, like they're just going to go, or the fake jobs are going to be gone.
Yeah.
It's just going to be real jobs left. I think again, like debate, what you think about that, but it's now to get a job, you kind of have to like do a good thing in the space you want to be working in, and then show someone the thing you did.
Yeah, I think you want to be. What I've thought about it, how I've thought about it is like, you want to be in a position where like, if you weren't to be here tomorrow, in terms of like if you go on holiday or something, your value is basically kind of changes the way things happen, like the way other people think, if that makes sense. So it's like, you want to be as valuable as someone. So like say ETN, for example, it's like you want to be as valuable in a position where we're providing people with distribution or whatever. If we don't exist tomorrow, like where do people kind of get that from? So like, that's your moat, right? You're like a one of one kind of thing.
Yeah. So on the Volvo thing, it's like no one can compete with like the best thing you can do is just be, and this is really cringe.
Productize yourself.
But yeah, like I was about to say be yourself, but that just made me want to throw up. Don't do that. Don't be yourself. That sucks. Just productize yourself instead.
He never says be yourself. He says productize
yourself.
Yeah,
no, I was wording it wrong. But like, no one is as good as you at being you. Like the authenticity is the moat.
Yeah.
Like, that's your ring fence right there.
Exactly. Talking about a company that has moats, leave outdated business banking behind with Airwallex, the all-in-one financial company. No, it's not. The all-in-one financial platform built for the pace of modern business, multi-currency accounts, corporate cards, expense management, online payments, all in one platform. Go to airwallex.com. Why did you not let the trumpets go?
You want to do it?
Let's do some trumpets for Airwallex.
All right, it's long though.
Airwallex, the all-in-one financial platform built for the pace of modern business. Go to airwallex.com. They gave us a McLaren car.
Let's go, Airwallex.
We like them. Anyway, let's move on. Let's move on to the new UK Sovereign AI Fund.
Yeah.
£500 million fund chaired by none other than James Wise, friend of the stream, partner of Boulderton Capital, absolute legend of the game. Let's jump in. I want to show everyone their website as well. It's a very cool website.
Yeah. So this is just on X first. They went direct. They went direct and they got 850,000 views.
Go direct. Go on X.
Honestly, just is a better idea. Like, I don't know if you saw that graph the other day of
how many views do you reckon you
declining-
get if you go through like a stand like an FT?
I mean, it depends, right? Like if it's like the maddest thing in the world, then you probably get a lot. But I saw it was basically like a viewership chart of traditional media and how it's changed over like the past sort of 5 years.
Yeah.
And I think, and it was some top names on there, mainly US, to be honest. There weren't, I think it was more of like a US experiment that someone was tracking. But dude, it was like 10 outlets. And the one that had the smallest percentage drop in readership was like 84%.
Wow.
And that's not print, that's digital.
Yeah.
So it does make you think a little bit like this new, what's happening there?
What's going on?
And like, I think we obviously chat to a lot of people about it all the time because we're kind of in that world. But the barrier to entry is so low that you in the same way that the FT will have, they've got like a world column, they've got a tech column, they've got a climate column, they've got a whatever column, they've got a culture column. They didn't used to have that. Mm-hmm. They just used to be the FT. Mm-hmm. And you kind of had to, okay, I've got to buy the FT and I've got to read all of the stuff. Okay, well, what do we do? How do we sort of improve the experience of for our viewership? Well, let's give them distinct niches that they can follow along with and they can be interested. So you don't have to read the full thing. You can just go onto the tech column and just read the tech piece on, this is when they went to digital. And now we're seeing what we're doing, like, because the barriers to entry to create are so low, whether it's like, we set up a studio, it doesn't cost us that much money to do, compared to running a full scale, media company that was founded in like the 50s or whatever, 60s, whatever it was.
1920s.
But like,
the old school.
That you no longer have your own sort of like web link to click. It's no longer like tech one and a culture one and a thing one. You now have your own show.
It's like
per thing.
It's like super niche down.
So like, if you want it, like we'll have a finance show, we'll have like a tech show, and we'll have like a tech for Europe show. So we're getting niche and niche down the funnel where like the cost to do so is so low that instead of you're having the full production quality just for each individual tiny little thing you get. I was thinking about this last night in my head. Which I think is a great thing, obviously, because we are part of that thing. Anyway,
Indeed.
Sovereign AI.
Talking about Sovereign AI.
Introducing Sovereign AI. These deserve some trumpets, to be fair. The Sovereign AI, the government's new £500 million venture fund. Not a small fund.
No.
Like, that's not a small fund. And there's always a bit of stick about, European companies, like, like this is literally the salary of one like SF cracked dev. It's like, okay, whatever. This is a £500 million venture fund. That's really cool, and it's also it's a strategic objective from the government, which is yes, fair enough, rare. Chaired by James Wise, partner at Boulderton, Sovereign AI combines cash investment with unique levers, including access to the UK's largest AI computing capacity, unique data sets, procurement pathways, and more. Basically, they have the support of the nation from a policy perspective, and I guess they can also just tap into like AI leaders in the UK when necessary, whether it's for advice, whether it's for collaboration, whether it's for whatever you need to do. They launched yesterday, soft launch, sorry. Already got 4K followers, which is really cool.
Michael Darlington had a good take. If you want to go onto that, put it into the, or you can scroll down. It's there. It should be there. he said, timing alongside NScale's $2 billion raise is no coincidence. The UK is making a coordinated play for AI infrastructure sovereignty, private capital, building the compute layer, public capital funding, the companies that run on it. He's so right? It's like it's all about momentum, right? And it's all about the narrative stuff. Even the stuff that was going on the weekend with, I'm sure everyone saw everything happening about London maxing. It's all going on, if that makes sense, right? Mm-hmm. It's like this thing happens and this thing, then this thing, and it's like a momentum piece. Yeah. And eventually people will start to kind of move over here or whatever. Like there's a real buzz around it. Which is really exciting.
Let's also, I'm not sure how much of this we can show just because of the way that we share on the stream.
Let's do the website.
The website. How much of that can we get on the screen? Do you know? Just roughly, like, because it's really cool. Not a lot, I assume. Oh, that's okay. So like just that you can see the text.
Yeah, if we can see the text.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah. We can give that a whirl.
Let me see what it looks like on the stream.
So this is
yeah, that's good.
This is quite cool. Oh, you can see that. Okay, nice. Yeah. So this is a government website, by the way. This is not.
Can you yeah. Can you do this? Do that.
Is that a good idea?
That should work.
How did you do that?
Go onto there and then minimize.
How's that looking?
Yeah. Minimize a little bit more. Just minimize as much as you can.
Good.
Yeah.
Is that? But it's just minimized.
Does it move on it?
Well, this is look. It's just that. Like, it doesn't minimize the thing.
Okay, unminimized.
Okay, we are going back to we
had back into the old ages.
But this is a government website, and it's not. I know it's a small thing. It is a small thing, but it does genuinely matter. This is part of. It's a small sign and a small signal that you are listening to the community. You are in touch with current trends and current narratives. You're capable of building something beautiful. It's not just what was the one recently that we had, which was just such a shame. It was one of the UK government projects, but it was basically leaks that they'd paid. And again, it's hard to say is it their fault, but they'd hired an engineer or contracted an engineer to build them a website, and this person had clearly just like Lovable it or Clauded it with like 3 prompts. The boxes were the wrong size consistently. There was no consistency in design. It was very obviously a vibe coded website.
Yeah. Fine.
And then it leaked that they paid like £180,000 for it. So it just got absolutely rinsed. And I'm trying to work out like, that's obviously, it's sad that someone is able to do that and then charge him 100 because they're like, oh yeah, I know, we have to. He's a software engineer. Like that's how much it costs. Like, well, it's not that, is it though? So it's nice to see
someone in touch. I mean, there's probably
someone taking care.
That's probably because Mr. James Wise is chairing it. But we can go through this if we just scroll through. The first algorithm. 1843, Ada Lovelace. Note G, the origin of computer science, a vision of machines beyond calculation. Then the modern computer, 1939, Alan Turing, the birth of machine intelligence, breaking the unbreakable. Can machines think?
His gaff.
Yeah.
Down my road.
No way.
Walked past it the other day.
Nice.
Yeah, I was just walking, and they have those. They're like blue plaques.
Yeah, the little
circles.
plaques. Yeah.
It was his yard.
No way.
Yeah. But I thought that was really cool. Just like, I'm sure.
The guy that created the modern computer.
Yeah, just there.
He was just there, chilling.
Yeah.
Anyway, the World Wide Web in 1989, a British invention shared with the world. AlphaFold 2020, Google DeepMind, cracking biology's code from computation to life itself. Built here was a $1 trillion tech market, 160 plus tech unicorns, 5,800 AI companies. Today, the UK has the largest AI sector in Europe. And they're actually launching this thing in 37 days on April the 16th. So Yeah, it is 500 million
Countdown
pound,
timer.
AI fund. It's very cool.
There are 37 days, 5 hours, 58 minutes, and 36 seconds away from.
Indeed.
James
Wise came out with the tweet, quote tweeting what they'd done, and he said, "There are world-leading AI companies being founded in Britain, but we can do so much more. Today, I'm delighted to announce as chair of the UK government's Sovereign AI Unit, backed by almost £500 million in investment to help build and scale AI companies on British shores. There is a new type of government initiative, one which aims to be the first choice of partner for founders building essential parts of the UK's AI infrastructure, growing our economy, one which will use the awesome power of British state to help scale our breakthroughs, and one which aims to make a meaningful return for the British taxpayer. I look forward to working with the team to build and launch this initiative in the coming months to make this a critical technology work for all of us in Britain. We will announce job opportunities with the unit and more on the DSIT website and social channels, so please follow along." It's so good, and also like the fact that we'll get him back on. We'll get James back on when they actually like officially launch. I think that's probably the best thing to do.
Sure.
And yeah, it's insane.
Very exciting. I just pinged you a quick note for a couple of the guests coming up soon. If you could have a look at that and sort that out.
Nice.
Yeah, you understand. Cool. Very good. That is excellent. We are also, I think there's some news coming out shortly.
How's it going?
I'm just checking.
Any
if you bear
news?
with us, guys. I think there's some news coming out in a sec.
Surely it's out. It's gotta be.
I'm just trying to find. Just bear with us 1 second, guys. We're just checking for a specific piece of news.
There we go. This is like work with us. There you go. Almost done.
I'm trying to find this news.
It won't if it's not.
Well, I mean, we had a post scheduled. This is the only thing.
Did you post it?
Oh, it's scheduled.
I thought it was posted by 12.
Yeah, I'm just checking.
Delete.
It has gone out.
It's gone out.
It has?
Delete.
No. I don't know if you should do that. Sorry, guys, bear with us. We are just checking if...
I think we delete it.
Well, can you copy it and maybe reshare it?
Yeah, I've copied it. It's good. We're good.
But I think it's okay, though.
Yeah?
Well, we haven't broken any rules.
I'd be pretty careful with that. Let's just it'll come out eventually. Let's carry on. Let's carry on. This is so funny because it's pretty big news and we've got to be careful.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. We have a release and we're just wondering why we can't see it out. But we've adhered to the embargo.
We have. That is correct. But I think if someone else
Sorry, it's out.
Okay, it's out? 100%?
Yeah.
Okay, let me post it again. Go.
Okay, so the news is we can do this. Can you get this out?
Yeah.
Do you want me to do it?
I'll do it. I'm doing it now. Do your news.
The news is, and we have a special guest coming on to the show, as we mentioned, at 2 p.m. They are coming on. But the news is that Legora, Swedish darling, has raised $550 million for its US expansion. This is a Series D round at 5.5
Here comes the money.
billion. to fuel its expansion to the US. This comes only sort of weeks after Harvey launched their. I think they raised something like an $8 billion valuation, I think, which is absolutely nuts. And yeah, this is certainly going to go and I guess heat up that race. We've got a beautiful relationship here beautiful rivalry between Legora and Harvey. But we're going to be joined by David Eckstein, who is the CFO of Legora, and we're also going to be joined by Stuart, who is I think it's the Chief Marketing Officer, or VP of Marketing. I might be getting that wrong. As well, which is going to be fun. So we'll have the exclusive, we'll have the breaking news, which is going to be great. You can now check it out on our page. I think that has been, yes, that is now official. This is, we get to use the graphic as well. The lovely, it's such a nice graphic.
Again, it's so hard to do both. Post stuff and also talk. But it's out. So 550 million. No, is it 550 or 500?
550 million at a 5.5 billion valuation. We were worried because we had that scheduled. We
posted it, but we don't know if we posted it before.
No, we did. It was fine. I don't know why, but the SEO.
You got to be careful with
was
this
just
stuff.
Not.
You got to be.
Sorry,
careful.
we posted it at the same time as when it broke.
Okay, that's okay. I think.
Which that's fine.
I'm only getting. Oh, here we go. Okay, it's on Bloomberg. So Bloomberg got the exclusive.
Interesting.
So Bloomberg says, if you just go onto the Bloomberg article, they say legal AI startup Legora raises $550 million for the US expansion. Have you read this out?
No.
Swedish legal artificial intelligence startup Legora has raised $550 million in a Series D funding round led by Accel, tripling its valuation from an October round to 5.55 billion as it seeks to expand in the US. They had a bunch of other partners kind of like just following on from what they've done. Bessemer, GC, Iconic, Redpoint.
It's insane lineup.
Fastest ever growing YC company, I believe, ever. Anyway, and the article kind of talks about legal AI startups. They say legal AI startups have boomed as tools powered by large language models promise to upend the profession, saving lawyers time on grunt work like document review and drafting contracts. In February, Anthropic released a plugin to help automate legal work that sent shares of traditional legal news, software, and data services completely tumbling. Legora has more than doubled its sales in every quarter since the final 3 months of 2024. Chief Executive Max Junstrand said in an interview, declining to comment further on revenue. It plans to use the funding to rapidly grow in the US, the home market of its competitor, Harvey. Legora recently announced new offices in Houston and Chicago, in addition to its existing New York and Denver hubs, and expects to have 300 employees in the US by the end of 2026. Interesting. They've chosen those. I guess like that's just where the law firms are, I assume. I mean, New York is an obvious choice, but you rarely see Houston, Chicago, Denver in kind of tech news. It's kind of either you're going to the Bay Area or you're going to New York. That's kind of the only place. I guess when you're kind of dealing with legacy companies like law firms, they're not in the Bay Area. They're in New York for sure, and Legora have a New York office, but yeah, they're not in the Bay Area.
Probably knocking around in Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago's.
Have you been to Chicago?
No.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's really nice.
Lots of law firms.
Don't know. Didn't go to any or see any, but they had a big Wall Street Journal. I think maybe the Wall Street Journal headquarters is there. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, really?
Because I think I saw that, or was it different? It was some legacy media outlet. I'm pretty sure it was the WSJ.
Yeah, probably.
Pretty sure. But the buildings there are crazy. Like I was there as part of my onboarding when with Salesforce after the acquisition. I was only there for a month, but like at Salesforce, I was in Chicago for like 5 days. But it's really nice. It's very city-y,
Where's the city?
Yeah, but like, there's no real green. There's maybe a little bit of. It's just like very city.
You can't touch grass.
You can't touch grass. Everyone was also like, before I went, everyone was also like, you gotta go see the bean. Like the bean. You have to see the bean. Like, and then I went and saw it, and it was just like this big
Bean.
metal block. It was like not that. In fact, it wasn't really impressive at all. It wasn't even that big. It was big, but it wasn't like that big.
Oh, really? Anyway, before we have our first guest on, Airwallex, leave outdated business banking behind with Airwallex, the all-in-one financial platform built for the pace of modern business. Multi-currency accounts, corporate cards, expense management, online payments, all in one platform. Go to airwallex.com. I think we have our first guest in the room, I believe.
Oh, yeah. Should we? I'm just checking with our producer, Orla, if we are okay to bring them in.
Orla, is Francesco in? Awesome. Hey, man, can you hear us?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Loud
How's it going?
Hey, guys. How are you doing?
We're good. How are you?
I'm very well. And thanks so much for hosting me today.
Thank you for joining. I think we were trying to get this in ages ago when we were chatting to your team. This was back in when we were at Slush, but I think a lot of stuff came up in between now and then, but it's so good that we could finally get this done. We're buzzing, the crowd's going wild. It's so maybe I think like for the stream, we were introducing earlier when we were doing your intro, a few of the topics that we'd love to chat with you, but maybe it would help if you maybe introduce yourself and also TrueLayer as well, and then we can jump into it.
Absolutely. So hi everyone. My name is Francesco. I'm the CEO and co-founder of TrueLayer. We are a payments fintech company based in London with operation throughout Europe. What we do fundamentally, we are a payments network that uses open banking, account-to-account, instant payment rails to go and rewire the way consumer payments are done. Specifically, take on the big boys of the cards network. We want to offer a real alternative that is scaled, that can be arrayed in the pocket of millions and millions of consumers everywhere in Europe, predominantly, and do that at scale. And so we work with predominantly large merchants like Amazon, eBay, Just Eat, Revolut, and many, many others. And we are trying to push this payment revolution not just in the UK, but like the rest of Europe as a whole. So great to be here today.
Let's go. And you guys have been on this journey for a while, right? Like, well, straight off the bat, first question I'd love to understand is like, how is the landscape changing? I'm assuming it's looking a lot different than it is now compared to when you guys first started.
100%. So we started in 2016. At that time, I was in San Francisco. I have been in San Francisco for about 7 years before, and we saw something happening in Europe where basically by virtue of a regulatory directive, all the banks in Europe and the UK included at that time, they had to build APIs. So interfaces, digital interfaces to allow third-party developers to just connect to their infrastructure, is the financial data, is ability to instruct payments and so forth, right? And so at that time, like I'm a little bit of a developer at heart, my co-founder as well. So we truly care about developer experience. We wanted to basically solve the first issue is like all those banks are building APIs, and then what you do? You go off and connect with every single one. 2016, no AI on the side. So you actually have to do the hard job of like getting licensed and do security stuff and then connect to the APIs and all of that. So we thought at that time, the market will need an aggregation layer, like just a platform, a gateway service that connects all those different banks together and offered that as a simple single API to developers. And we did that, and our early success in 2016, 17, 18, and so forth was really due to be developer friendly, a little bit early to the market, and work with some very ambitious companies like the Revolut and the Zoba of the world that wanted to really push into fintech with a different angle and take some risk, right? And the haha moment was maybe somewhere around 2020, where all of a sudden we just saw a really like an immense spike in volume of payments, like just literally processing billions worth of payments almost overnight. And that was like, okay, this is it. This is the leading use case. This is going to be the thing that has scale, product market fit. We can just imagine building an entire new company just around that. And so, a little bit of soul searching and a little bit of like setting the right product strategy. And we really realized we can leverage this open banking technology to rewire the payment system. And so 10 years later, the overnight success is sort of, it took us 10 years. Now we are, in the checkout of Amazon, in the checkout of eBay. Like those are massive merchants. We at the moment, we have roughly 25 million users, consumers that are using our rails, and they grow about 1 million users per month. So it's crazy growth. And the whole job has been in the last several years is how do you take some sort of like pure technology and make it something that is fit for purpose for a very specific use case, which is a huge use case, which is consumer payments, and create the trust environment of like businesses, consumers to just use it at scale. And it's been a massive journey. And frankly, like very proud that the team delivered on that sort of vision.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I wanted to ask, so you just, you mentioned, I think it was 2019 that you guys did a bit of like soul searching, right? And that was the kind of time when things had changed. We've spoken to the Intercom guys and obviously their famous kind of pivot and everything. And we're speaking to a few founders that have kind of gone through a similar experience. I wanted to ask about your experience now and what you feel is... Are you guys having to kind of stay like ultra focused? Are there things that could kind of pull you in multiple directions, or are you like very focused on the mission? Kind of how do you stay so focused when everything that's happening at the moment in the market is kind of happening pretty much every day?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that I think like maybe Paul Graham said something like you need to love the problem, not be in love with the solution, right? And I think that's really it, right? Like I think we love the problem. The solution happens to be a number of like new technologies that has been built in the last maybe 10, 15 years. I'm talking about open banking, but it's much broader than that. Like if you look at like the macro perspective, you have card-dominated sort of like world of payments, right? Like it's all about cards. That's the reality, right? And so that's sort of like the monolith. And what actually happened in the last several years is that in a very scattered manner, there's all sorts of different technologies that emerged that are going in and solving specific pain points. It could be open banking in the UK, local bank networks, account in other geographies like, I don't know, Poland or the Netherlands or Brazil, I don't know. Is crypto as well, is instant payment rails, all of that. So is an unbundling moment of payments that actually happened in the last maybe 10, 15 years. And then what's happening right now is the rebundling moment. So we are rebundling payments using all those technologies to go and actually solve maybe pain points that are very clear and there, like already solved by the card companies in one way, but we believe that can be done much more efficiently, much more, in a secure manner with a consumer adoption that is coming from a different way with a different consumer flow, and so there are like massive benefits in introducing competition into the market, right? And so yeah, our job is to over time select what are those technologies that are just that they have the features, the capabilities to go and rewire the world of payment. So it's a little bit like, at certain times you need to be very fast in adopting the new thing, which like maybe we did with, open banking. Other times it's maybe like a wait and see approach. I think like, for instance, for crypto, I still have to see a massive sort of like consumer payments moment, right? And so the question is like how that is going to happen, in which geographies is this going to happen first? Because I think Europe is a very special kind of geography versus like emerging markets, right? So you need to like pick and choose your sort of battles in a way, and focus is absolutely important. I think that you're not going to be very successful if you don't try to set a very, very set perimeter to your ideas and where you're actually trying to go.
Yeah, that's cool. It's a little segue maybe into a topic that we'd love to discuss with you. We had the CRO of EMEA for Stripe, Conor McNamara, on the show the other week, and in Stripe's annual letter recently, it discusses the future of what agentic commerce will look like. We had a back and forth around. Is it sort of, these agents will have their own bank account. You can deposit like maybe crypto into a wallet that's connected to the agent, so they don't have to keep a human in the loop when they're trying to run transactions. The Collison brothers believe maybe we're at level 2 of their sort of 5-level like journey of agentic commerce being fully fledged and integrated into everything we do. I'd love to hear your perspective, from that. That payments perspective of what that future of agentic commerce looks like, and is it something that TrueLayer is interested in?
First of all, we are massively interested into that. We are already collaborating with a lot of the big names on what is going to be the future of agentic commerce through alternative rails, the ones who we are building, which we believe can offer a lot of benefits to that source of brave new world. Specifically, is the real-time aspect, is the cost efficiency aspect, is the strong bank identity that they carries out, is the fact that merchants are much more in control of all the chargebacks process and all of that, which I think is a very critical issue of agentic commerce. I tend to believe that there are going to be a number of gating points into adoption. And the first one, I think, moving from AI being some sort of Uber search engine for consumers into becoming a shopping discovery engine, and that's probably where we are at the moment, into becoming agentic workflow. You have this sort of super assistant that does all the shopping for you. I don't think that is going to happen all at once. I always make the metaphor I do have a personal assistant, right? That doesn't mean she does all the shopping for me. I still want to do some stuff very manually because I want to feel in control. I want to pick and choose on certain things. Other stuff, I'm very comfortable delegating the whole thing. When you need to, for instance, align, I don't know, like a travel journey, right? You need to select within a budget, the airline, the hotel, all the different ground transportation, and then you have budget constraints and time constraints. So this is an optimization problem, if you want. I think agents are perfectly suited to do that, right? So I think there's going to be a lot of use cases that gets unlocked throughout the way, and there's a little bit of tension eventually going on between, merchants will want to own the checkout experience. I think that's prime real estate that they're not going to give away very easily. And so how that relation is going to be worked out, I think it's something that we need to keep in consideration. If you are any merchant with a little bit of user base, you are investing millions in marketing to build trust, to make sure that you are kind of top of mind when it comes to a certain specific category. They're not gonna just leave it out there for others to just disintermediate them very easily. That doesn't mean, for instance, for the long tail may actually be a different modality. So you take all of those things together. There is another angle on discovery, as in advertising model. How that will look like. I don't think that we haven't sorted that out. Eventually there is payments, right? And I think that I totally believe that is inevitable, that eventually some portion, it might be the entirety of the thing, it might be to actually end up outgrowing sort of human shopping. I don't know what is the right timeline for that, but certainly it will be a thing. It will be important. And so I think it's so critical that companies like ourselves, they start early and they start, iterating, figuring out, listening to feedback, what are all the different pain points, and unlocking critical parts of the model. And I say the model because it might be about technology, but it also could very well be about the liability model, where the risk sits, who's going to be on the hook for what, and all those things needs to be sorted out. Agent to agent, more in the world of you have these autonomous agents, maybe trading stocks or creating entire businesses, or having to pay suppliers. I firmly believe that crypto gives you an edge. It's just more programmable. It's just you're just sort of speaking the same language. You don't have to go through a lot of more hard to access piece of the infrastructure. So I'm sure there's going to be eventually regulation put in place. Like it's not going to be like completely open, but I think the technology itself, like the fact that you may end up having a real-time settlement network for like the world basically, and just like being able to support global commerce through that, it's clearly the direction where we are going. So going back to what is our job? Our job is to select at each point in time what is the right technology at the right time that we are going to embed, that we are going to rebundle together into our notion of being a payments network. And that's precisely what we're going to do.
Yeah, it's funny. You have to, if you're bullish on agentic commerce, in a way, you're by proxy bullish on crypto in general, because we were saying earlier, like if you need, and this is from the conversation with Connor over at Stripe, like if you need a payment sort of like medium or infrastructure that is borderless and is decentralized and it doesn't require necessarily human being in loop, and as you say, incredibly programmable, then it is kind of the only option. And maybe that could be the consumer crypto moment, right? Well, I guess it's not really consumer though, it's more like agentic crypto moment in that regard, but connected to the consumer.
I mean, totally. I mean, I think it takes time to shift consumer adoption, much easier in a way on the business side of things. I still believe that the whole, like the disruption going on in, call it like capital markets, like crypto as an asset that you may want to trade and you want to do like 24 hours a day and more, direct than other sort of like assets that you have, and like how you tokenize everything. Like I think this is happening and is a very clear use case that clearly will continue to grow. Then like it becomes a little bit like what do you think, right? Like, is it like Bitcoin, some sort of like gold alternative? Is it the world going through a de-dollarization or not, or whatever? Like I think like that's maybe like is up for debate. Like you may have very different dissenting view. I personally believe that the raw concept of like having internet money, I think has legs. Like it's certainly part of the innovation. Like I want to see that happening. How that trickles down into everyday transaction, I think like probably today depends like where you sit in the world. If you are in Europe, stable currency, low level of inflation, real-time rails, like a hyper served in terms of like your different options and whatever, probably you're not going to think crypto as the natural way of like doing like your daily shopping. But maybe if you're in Argentina, it's a very different consideration, right? Like you have all sorts of different problems. And so my expectation is that emerging markets, as in sort of like consumer behavior, they're just going to continue to grow very rapidly. And I think maybe what is very interesting right now is companies building entire banks, financial service, basically institutions that only deal with sort of like crypto rails in different flavors, right? I think that's very important, especially when you look at the global south sort of part of the equation.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned Argentina. Like I was listening to the Brian Armstrong's from Coinbase, his recent appearance on David Senra's podcast, and he's talking about the founding story of Coinbase, and he mentions that he went to Argentina to kind of find himself. He didn't know what to do, and it was there in Argentina when he was studying like hyperinflation and like what do the locals feel about the currency and how to operate with it. It was there where the idea for Coinbase was essentially born out of looking at the problems that people were experiencing. From the locals, because like in America they didn't care, because like why would they? But the locals were the ones who were falling victim to incredible rates of inflation. So naturally, that's where they were like sort of needed an alternative. So it's funny you mention that.
I do agree. I think that bringing it back a little bit on also what is that we do. I think one of the reasons why you want to look at creating more competition in the payments market as a whole, like irrespective of like what is the set of technology you're using, is also like this concept of this is critical infrastructure. Like this is as valuable, if not more valuable than energy, your railroads, your highways, your airports, so forth and so forth, right? Like it's not second to those infrastructure. And I think like in Europe at country level, clearly we live in a world where like those things are becoming more important. This idea of that, payment sovereignty. I think like here in the UK, the government is realizing that, pushing an agenda to develop that, and we are working very closely with Treasury and all the different bits and pieces of the government to make it happen. I truly believe that more competition must be, that's the real reason, right? Like you need to do that because, more competition is just very good. And you're not just introducing competition in a competitive market, you're introducing competition into a market that is a monopoly. Like there's basically no alternative, right? So that is even more important. But then there is a second factor of having an option makes you more resilient as a country, gives you different like trading chips, and like just is a better way of like putting yourself out in the world, in a world that is becoming certainly more antagonistic with each other, right? And so we're doing a lot of work on that in Europe, in the UK, incrementally also, outside of Europe eventually. So I think that's very important to say.
Yeah. Ever more increasingly important, as we've seen in loads of headlines recently, the data and the tech sovereignty thing for Europe. I'm looking at the time. We have gone 2 minutes over, which sometimes happens when we get lost in a great conversation. But Francesco, thanks so much for spending time with us this morning. We really appreciate it. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, guys. Good luck with everything, and keep pushing.
Cheers, dude. Appreciate it. Have a good one.
Great to meet you.
Bye.
Ciao.
Awesome stuff. Next on the show, we have Julian Beck. He's a partner at Sequoia. But before we do that...
Lovely,
why don't you sing it next time? Anyway, Framer, build better sites faster. The all-in-one platform where enterprise teams design, build, and ship production-ready websites. No dev handoff, no bottlenecks, no creative compromises. Go to framer.com/ETN. Let's jump into this Julian Beck article before we have him on. So Julian Beck released the article. It's now on 2 million views.
Wow, that is a lot of views.
With the title, Services, the New Software. He says at the top of the article, the next $1 trillion company will be a software company masquerading as a services firm. The TLDR
Just quickly, as a hook. Great hook. From a copywriting perspective.
Yeah.
Great hook. Carry on, sorry.
Julian Beck, the master of
master copy.
The master copy. Julian, he basically like distinguishes between like intelligence, which is just... It can be complex, but like rule-based stuff, so like coding or like medical coding or whatever. He kind of goes through all of the industries. So he distinguishes between that, which is like intelligence, he says, and like judgment, which is like, you have to do the hard yards, the experience-based decision making, and etc. And then he has like two different, I guess, types of companies where it's like you've got the co-pilot, which sells the tool. So like a professional, if you're selling into, if you're selling into accounting, you're providing an accountant with a tool to just do their job better. Mm-hmm. But then you've also got the autopilot. So it's like it actually sells the outcome. So you'd have a tool of an accountant, that's helping them kind of do basically everything in terms of, making sure payments are rectifying payments or whatever, like providing invoices and all of that kind of stuff. But then also you've got the closing of the books, like you're selling the end-to-end like output, I guess, directly to the customer. And he kind of puts those two together and says that the budget of like the services arm is one, way larger, and two, it's already there. So if you basically just swap out a services firm with your AI company, your autopilot, the budget's there. You've also got, I think it was like 6 times more volume flowing into the services industry compared to software. And that's where, the next $1 trillion company will kind of come from, basically. Sick article. So good.
Very cool. And it did the absolute rounds.
It did.
2 million impressions, 3.5k likes, 655 retweets. This is what we were discussing earlier, but just before we were starting the show, when you see after this went viral, which was last Friday, I think it went out. A lot of people not claiming it as their own narrative, but maybe it's not like a new thing. Julian's just an excellent job at summarizing it and delivering it in a very consumable way. He's executed the idea in like text very well. But a lot of people jumping on, claiming like, I've been thinking this for years. Me too. I just didn't. You good? You did, okay? Because I was thinking about that as well. I just didn't do the thing, which is good. But Julian's going to be joining us in 10 minutes.
Yeah, in 10 minutes
to chat more about the services, the new software. The 1 trillion company will be a service company masquerading as a services firm, which is going to be super fun. Maybe we should do some of the tweets.
Yeah, let's do tweets. I'm pretty sure we had something. I was like, we'll go through that before with the Julian stuff, but can't remember what it was. So we can jump in to the tweets. Let's go to the town square.
Let's do that. Just taking a look at. The Lagora stuff. Did we properly go into that? I feel like we were kind of cut short.
Yeah, we can go into the Lagora stuff.
I just want to read the Bloomberg.
I kind of got down to like we started talking about the fact that they're now going into like Houston, Chicago. They've obviously got New York and Denver hubs. Yunstran says, we haven't spent any of the money from our Series C yet, Yunstran says, but we're expecting to significantly go up in our burn rate this year as we scale out the team in the US. Harvey, which had a financing round in December, is in talks to raise funds at an $11 billion valuation, which was reported last month. Haven't yet done it yet. But this is what, I mean, just quickly going back to Julian's article, like this is what this, like he's saying, it's like they are providing a co-pilot for a lawyer to do their job better. Where there's the moat in that, I don't know. Are they, I assume, building some form of like autopilot adjacent thing? Probably. They're raising like they are. They're raising like there's obviously they're getting so many customers anyway, but it's like, what's the kind of bigger thing, the next thing in terms of the strategic kind of movement towards just being the one platform that like a lawyer will use, but then also will never have to outsource anything else in terms of, I don't know, reviewing documents or whatever.
Well, I think this comes back to what we were saying.
Whatever the edge case is.
Earlier though, on the narrative stuff, right? Like everyone constantly like, Claude just killed this industry or Claude just killed this industry. And like the markets were taking a dip. And there was a specific one about law as well that they launched. But I mean, like I do feel that like this is in a way proof to suggest that like, okay, these things are being over prescribed in a way, like the Claude just killed this industry type thing. They're being over prescribed in a way because you can't, yes, that's cool. And maybe like Claude can now do maybe this small use case within law, but it's not intertwined into the majority of legal firms who are like forward thinking enough to adopt technology today. Yeah. And that's valuable. Yeah. That's that's like a valuable thing to have.
I think the thing that Julian says in the article which was super interesting, and haven't really heard anyone kind of put it like this, but he was like, the best place for AI autopilots to start is with tasks that companies already outsource. This indicates 3 things. The work can be done externally, a budget already exists, and the buyer is already purchasing an outcome. So it's like, he then goes on to talk about the fact that it's a swap. It's not like a reorg type thing where you're having to kind of, cull employees and kind of do a whole company reorg. It's like it's just like a swap. You're just literally replacing an external contract with an AI provider. Take one out, put another one in. It's like simple vendor swap instead of like this difficult we really have to kind of like change direction of the ship to be able to go into one, to go one way. Don't have to do that, right? It's just a quick kind of in-out swap. And no one, I haven't seen anyone kind of put it like that, where it's like these are the three things that companies kind of should be looking for. Funnily enough, we were going to touch on the fact that he put his email in the bottom of the article, which so we emailed him. I think I emailed him on either Friday or Saturday. Read the article on Saturday, emailed him. I was like, hey man, got to come on the show. He didn't get back to me until yesterday, and I think the reason why is just purely because he put his email in there.
Yeah, your emails in an article that was 2 million impressions, and the email's a Sequoia email.
He must have had to get one. He probably got in trouble for that, but two, he must have got. I don't know. Do you get in trouble for that?
No, he won't get in trouble for it. But they just ruin his inbox.
Yeah, but it's in like he's probably had to get a new email being like, guys, like so sorry, but
Julian Beck 1 at Sequoia.com. I can imagine the amount, because I mean, like getting your email leaked at Sequoia anyway. I mean,
it's not a hard email.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. You know,
it's literally like Julian at Sequoia.com.
But having it go viral on a 2 million impression article is pretty funny.
Yeah.
You're probably getting a lot of pitches. Plus all
the DMs. But anyway,
a lot of DMs, a lot of pitches.
Yeah, Polymarket, the world's largest prediction market. Stay informed and profit from your knowledge. Go to polymarket.com. Should we jump into the town hall?
Yeah, let's see what's going down.
Should we quickly react to the Roy Lee stuff?
Oh yeah, do we have time?
Yeah, we've got time. We've got 3 minutes.
Okay.
Go. So a few days ago, yesterday, Roy Lee came out. Do you want to give a bit of context on the story?
Yeah, it's like Roy Lee, everyone knows who he is, founder of Clearly, CEO, did Leak Code, raised a round in like 2 days on X from A16Z. A lot of narrative around Clearly is dead. And then essentially a TechCrunch article that was written a few months ago mentioned his revenue numbers. Someone digged into them. I think he was saying 7 million ARR. Someone digged into them and was like, I just can't make sense of the numbers. Like, if this was the case, you'd need to have 29,667 users. There is no way Clearly has that many users at $20 a month for the subscription. Then Roy came out and said that went pretty viral. And then Roy came out and said like, hey, yeah, that's actually true. Some person, I think he used a different word, some person from TechCrunch reached out to me. No, sorry, some random person gave me a call. I just told them, I made up some numbers on the phone. I didn't know there was going to be an article written about it. That person happens to be a TechCrunch reporter. The article goes out, the revenue numbers are false. Roy then takes to X and uses screenshots from old Stripe accounts saying like, okay, this is the actual revenue numbers from that time. And basically says like, this is the only time I've ever been dishonest publicly, you know, my bad. Like
a little bit more fruitful language in there.
Yeah. And then basically TechCrunch then wrote an article like Roy Lee is, lied about his metrics. Like, here's all the proof. He's been lying about his revenue, which is expected. Then, and this is a language warning for our audience there, because this is definitely not PG. Do we have volume?
Hello, TechCrunch foids and moids. There's a recent article about me that I want to address. But first,
this is so not like
history. Since I left school no more than
given
2
the
semesters
language
ago, I've gotten 2 startups to do millions of dollars in revenue each, became the most
well-known face
in all of technology.
Yeah, we'll just watch the first like 20 seconds.
We've
got Julian coming on
media platforms, and I hand wrote the growth playbook that every single YC startup right now is copying. We've never had a down month in Clearly history, and today we're fucking profitable. But I guess it's time for another article. Fun fact to all you tech boys.
Oh, dude.
Okay.
We got Julian in the house.
We'll leave it there.
Anyway, we have Julian in the house, I believe. We're just waiting for our producer to give us a thumbs up. Julian, can you hear us? Awesome. Good stuff. You are live on ETN. Thank you so much for joining us as usual. How's it going?
Things are good. It's always a pleasure to be back. Thanks, guys, for hosting me.
No, of course. Thanks for joining us. I mean, first of all, we were laughing the fact that you put your email in the article that you wrote, and how many emails you must have got off the back of it.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. Luckily, I have Claude now on my side to parse emails, so I was able to read quite a few of them over the weekend. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, I bet. Dude, well, look,
so
we've talked a little bit about the article, but I think it's probably worth from you explaining kind of like the core thesis behind it. I'm sure this is kind of like what you guys at Sequoia are talking about a lot, and the opportunities that you guys can kind of help out and see with the founders that you work with.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I think we're all asking ourselves the same questions, and for the right reasons. Things are moving so quickly that it's really hard to, catch up with the speed of the models getting better and the new companies are emerging. Even for people like my partners, Alfred, Lynn, and Pat Grady, who've been there for decades, they say themselves it's the fastest it's ever gone, right? And so it's very natural for founders to think, what will happen when the models start catching up? Will my company become irrelevant? We don't think that's the case, but we also think that there are ways to make yourself really defensible. And that was kind of the crux of the article, is that we think as a prediction is that the next $1 trillion company will be a software business that masquerades as a services firm. Because if you put the human first, it's actually the most defensible way to, riposte to the models. In a way, if you think about it, if you sell the tools, the models are getting better and better, and so you're at risk of getting in their sight. Whereas if you sell the services, you're actually delivering outcomes, and for that, you have Claude, ChatGPT, Grok, all of them really helping you do the work. And ultimately, if you look at the TAM today, for every $1 that you spend on software, $6 are spent on services. And until now, we could really just go after the $1, but now with services first and the human at the center, we think you can capture the 6.
I think what was most interesting, I mentioned it a few minutes ago when we were kind of going through it, but the idea that companies are already, paying for these services, the budget is there. All you kind of have to do is like a quick swap. I wanted to ask do you feel like that would be an education piece for those customers, or do you think that they would just naturally do that? They'd go for the cheaper option. This is like how they would just do it.
Yeah, look, I was a founder before, so I just wanted something a bit pragmatic, not just like a philosophical essay. So try to make it pragmatic for founders. And the way we position is that right now the models are really good at two things. They're really good at logic, right, and being really fast. And so that we call the intelligence, whereas the humans are really, really good at judgment. Some call it taste, some call it experience. But really, if you understand the nuance between the two, I think you start seeing the opportunity where you leave the models do the intelligence component and you let the humans do everything that's judgment related. And for that, if you build a services first firm, it's actually better to start with outsourced tasks. Why? Because there's 3 reasons. Number one, if you're outsourcing something as a company, you've already decided that someone else can do it, right? As opposed to an employee. Second, you have a budget attached to it. So it's very clear how much it costs, what's the ROI. And the last component is that instead of swapping an employee, you swap a vendor. It's just a lot easier to swap a vendor, and it's just one budget line, right? And so our recommendation to founders is if you attack one of these verticals that we think is really interesting, you should probably start thinking about outsourcing. And so that's where the article came about, is that let's map out the areas where there's the largest TAM, but also where a chunk of that TAM is outsourced today as the wedge to go to market effectively.
Mm-hmm. What, going back slightly, like those conversations that you're having with the founders, the ones who are saying like, look, like I'm maybe slightly exposed here to the models, like the rate that they're developing is insane. And like we've literally just spoke about it. We've all seen, Claude just killed another industry, or like Claude just killed this industry and stuff. And like, what I think we're realizing is that maybe some of these narratives are slightly over-indexed. Like the Cursor example is a great one, I think, when, maybe people weren't hearing too much from them. And then all of a sudden we hear that they're doing 2 billion ARR. Like they're doing very well. But what do you say to these founders when they come to you and they say these things? Because do you have to do you coach them? Do you tell them to maybe go in a different direction? Do you give them examples like, I know it's actually okay? Like,
yeah, absolutely. And look, maybe when we started investing in AI, a lot of people were thinking that if you build a co-pilot to the employee, you're enabling the employee to do better. And that made a lot of sense in the first innings of AI, because the models were maybe not good enough to automate an entire task. In the case of, you mentioned software engineering as a great example. I think just in the last few months, for anyone who's toyed with the models, you realize that you can actually complete end-to-end a task, right? You can say, build me an app to automate my email triage. And without any notion of coding, you can get from 0 to a live demo in a couple of minutes. And that's really started to happen in software engineering. But we actually think that's going to happen in other areas where intelligence is first, but where human judgment still matters. And so the advice to founders is the following: make sure you strip out the intelligence work, so everything codifiable, rules-based, that will ultimately be something that you leave the models to do. But whatever requires judgment, data that you get from experience as a person in the real world, not just scraping websites, that you leave to the human, and you make sure that they're the engine powering the AI behind it.
We spoke to Gokul at Marathon Management Partners, and he was talking about the systems of record and how that is like a moat, right? You've got companies that have their own proprietary data that act on that. I assume the earlier you do that, the better, especially when you have an AI integrated company building for their customers, and basically their tasks are all of the data is going through that, and you're kind of compounding this kind of like proprietary data set, right? How do you look at that as a founder and go, okay, how do we create our own from 0 to 1, our own proprietary data kind of machine, basically?
Yeah, absolutely. So I just want to make something clear. We were in the Copilot era, we're entering the autopilot era. That doesn't mean for companies who were Copilot or system of records that they don't have a future. It's just they have to navigate the change, right? And so if you're a system of record, so I give you an example. I work with a business called Relit in the US. They're a financial ERP, think QuickBooks for larger companies.
Oh,
right?
we interviewed Nick at Slush, actually.
There you go.
Yeah. You're a legend.
I give him a shout out. But what they're doing is that they have amazing data, because everyone is closing their books on Relit. They're using it as a system of record to have all the general entries that are going into the business, right? But they have an amazing position, because once you've done that, you can actually close the books, right? And that's where we think that today you can help the human actually do that, but eventually hopefully automate it as well. And so for all these companies that are a system of records that have clean data, the logic of thinking like an autopilot is really important, because in the case of Relit, if you look at some of their competitors like QuickBooks, you spend $5,000, $10,000 on QuickBooks, but you spend $150K on an external accountant, right? And so fighting for that 5 to 10K feels almost pointless, right? When you can actually drive massive ROI by replacing the work and doing the outcome altogether.
Yeah. That makes complete sense. Is this like then, I mean, more vague question, but in that realm and having those individuals who have the judgment, like you say, like you compared it to maybe taste or experience or whatever it is that the rise of the ideas guy in a way? Like is this becoming more like a more valuable skill set?
100%. I think, today, the models are really good at building an app that you tell them to build, but they don't know what to build next, right? That's taste, that's creativity. Those are all the things that the humans become really good at, but when they build experience. And to your point before, if you're able to productize a system that actually learns from the judgment of the human, the judgment of today becomes the intelligence of tomorrow, and the goalpost moves, right? But it does mean that for the human, you need to keep improving your skills, learning things that, frankly, the models can't do to really push the boundary further and further.
Yeah, that's interesting. So it's kind of like the front as you're using your, I guess, like judgment, taste, experience, and employing that into like your model or like the automations that you're running for a company. You're saying that that becomes intelligence in that regard, and therefore is essentially now sort of not behind the frontier, but it's sort of now you've got to, what's the new thing? What's the new thing in front of Okay, interesting. Yeah.
And to that point, I think history is a great proof point. The GPT-3 came up several years before ChatGPT, right? And so the question is like, why did the same model suddenly become useful? It's because we introduced reinforcement learning from human feedback, right? And so that's exactly the proof that you can induce judgment into the models who have the intelligence, and suddenly it becomes useful, right? And we think that the same will happen to every business category, but you have to involve the human, otherwise you can't get the judgment into the intelligence.
I know I am conscious you got to go at 1, but I wanted to ask a final question about so the kind of rebuttal from the Citrini article that was kind of released 2 weeks ago now at least, was basically that companies you're providing this other it's like you're providing this other kind of data layer, right, within companies, and they're kind of going down a route that it's all kind of going into there's like more volume. So like services industry, you mentioned for every $1 spent in software, 6 is spent in services. What's the where SaaS is dead, people are saying. What's the kind of opportunity for SaaS companies now? Because I feel like there's just so much more volume that's kind of being uncovered, right? And that was the kind of rebuttal to the Citrini thing. Is like there's so much more volume, so like go and grab it.
Yeah. So first, we don't think that SaaS is dead. Absolutely not. We think it's a great opportunity, particularly for younger companies, because if you look at the public markets, a lot of companies are getting bettered. And because it's such a war for talent, we're seeing a lot of younger companies actually manage to poach executives that they've never ever dreamed that they could get on their team, right? And so I encourage every founder out there to make the benefit of the situation and just go and try and approach the very best people in the industry and convince them to join your company, because the things that worked yesterday won't necessarily work tomorrow. And so the companies that are starting now, particularly in SaaS, are coming up with ideas that no one else had in the past. And I'm sure those will work out, and well, time will tell us, but we're all very bullish on that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, we like the sentiment that SaaS isn't dead as well. So hopefully we're all right.
Yeah, hopefully we're good. That's an interesting way to phrase that. Last question before you go, but it's almost the market response could be looked at as a positive thing for startups based off a talent redistribution, right? Like maybe the talent is finding like a new equilibrium. You're saying like maybe a trickle down effect of talent can reach startups, or maybe like this is now a new era of like new founders, basically.
Yeah, we're seeing it a lot. And in fact, what I will say, just speaking to portfolio companies, we just had a session with one of them who has a very high bar on talent. And they're really focusing on hiring the very, very best, because even the people who are just good, you can see the difference very quickly because they get so much leverage from AI that I would say the gap between good and the great is widening. And so it's become even more important for a younger company to focus on getting the very, very top people. And we're encouraging everyone to do that.
Awesome.
That's so awesome.
Well, Julian, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it, and keep.
Thanks for having me again. See you soon.
Dude. Always good to see you. Cheers.
Awesome stuff. There's Julian Beck at Sequoia Capital. Before we have our next guest on, leave our dated business banking behind with Airwallex, the all-in-one financial platform built for the pace of modern business, multi-currency accounts, corporate cards, expense management, online payments, all in one platform. Go to airwallex.com. We have
Stefan in the house.
Do we have Stefan in the house?
I think so. Good? Just checking with our producer if we can bring him onto the screen, can bring him onto the room.
Stefan, can you hear us?
Hi, guys.
Awesome. Yes, you're live on ETN. How's it going?
Thanks for having me. I'm doing quite fine so far. Thanks.
Love to hear it. Dude, we have so much to talk about. I don't even know where to start. Could you maybe intro yourself and Cello for the stream, and then we can get into a few more specific questions around it?
Yeah, sure. Let's do it. So I'm Stefan, co-founder and CEO of a company called Cello, and we're building the first revenue growth infrastructure out there. And to make it a bit more tangible, what that actually means and what you can see of that vision already today is we're providing an all-in-one referral platform for software companies to incentivize their most passionate partners and everyday users personally to recommend and refer the products they're using. And we're solving all of that on infrastructure level, so completely automated, hooked into the most relevant data sources in order to drive the most growth out of that. At times where distribution is becoming the most decisive factor of software companies to win in the marketplace. With AI, everyone can build products and ship software much more easy. So distribution is becoming key to win, while at the same time distribution is under a lot of pressure, right? The existing go-to-market channels, as we know them, they're seeing the legacy channels are in decline. There's a lot of noise in these channels because of AI, and it's important for companies now to basically find a way how to cut through that noise. And we believe that human social proof is basically the signal out there that does that. And with our infrastructure, you can scale that.
I think it's so clever because it's like a people are saying like the real moat is the humans, right? And you guys are kind of just betting big on that. What's the I'm curious, when you started Cello, what was the kind of key idea behind this? What was the kind of big vision of okay, I think AI will do this kind of outreach is dying and standard GTM is kind of dying. You touched on it, but what was the big idea when you first started? What was that that thing that was okay, I need to go and start Cello because this is important?
Yeah, we saw that referrals has been working in B2C land since ever, but no one really cracked the code of how to make this successful in B2B. So I try to understand why that is the case, why no one has ever built a platform like this, why no one has ever understood how to really incentivize users in order to make referrals in B2B work. And it looks more easy on the surface than it probably actually is. Which is probably one of the reasons. But this is basically how we started to replicate the success of referrals that has been shown since decades in B2C for B2B. And then we understood that the world in the future will consist of both humans taking actions, but also agents. So we try to understand what are the signals both humans and agents in this new world will listen to. And in the end, mostly, authenticated human social proof is the key to both. So humans trust other humans when it comes to recommendations, but also agents listen to authenticated, generated content by human. This is how LLMs work. And with our infrastructure, you can basically scale both referrals, but also in the near future, also user-generated content and reviews, etc.
You mentioned the legacy channels there. I've been a BDR in the past, so I know how that can be a really great way. I've not spoke to any enterprise companies recently, specifically I guess sales leads or CROs or territory leads or whatever. But surely that the layer of BDRs, BDR manager, sort of regional territory manager, a sales VP, is that? I guess it works for, the sales forces, the data dogs, but is that maybe sort of dying a little bit? In my mind, you could probably spin up something similar in terms of outreach with again, I've not done this and I'm not sort of throwing shade on them, but an OpenClaw and maybe one good GTM sort of technical engineer.
Yeah, so we're serving both PLG companies that have a free trial access where typically in most cases, there's no BDR involved, but we're also serving the companies like Pleo or Central where they have classic BDR and AE setups, and we're basically equipping them with the right signal and opening doors. So our job as a platform is basically opening doors, and we make therefore the life of BDRs much more easy, but obviously also the life of growth and marketing teams when it comes to rather marketing driven acquisition or product led driven acquisition.
Yeah. I guess within that as well, the something that we discussed maybe before the show was the collapse of the AI driven product channel fit? Like what are the channels? Obviously, the referral is the one that you're doubling down on, and it makes sense because you're hedging against like antitrust risk of agents kind of taking over. People are sort of prioritizing human on human stuff. What is the shift there that we're seeing, right? Are these channels just not being used as much as they used to because of agents, because people are more efficient, or are they just sort of like that's now like a legacy thing and like the new thing is human on human? Like what's happening to these legacy channels?
Yeah, so on a macro level, we see that LTV CAC payback has 5x in the last 5 years. So basically what companies are doing in general is less effective. And if we go one level further down and look, channel by channel, what we're seeing is that AI is basically disrupting these channels. If it's SEO or content, we see that these AI overviews, for example, on Google has led to a 79% decrease in traffic. Yeah. We see that pickup rates for cold calling has halved in just 1 year because, for example, iOS has introduced an AI, AI function that picks up
like
the
screens
phone.
the calls, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, I swear I got one this morning when we were about to film. I swear I was getting one this morning.
Yeah. It's cool. I like it.
Yeah, and I mean, the reason for that is that companies are using AI SDRs more and more to basically automatically call people. So everything is getting more noisy. So these spam filters are kicking in more and more, and that's why it's just more difficult to cut through the noise with cold calling, but also written outbound, for example. And if you go channel by channel, I mean, there's a certain set of channels you can basically run as a company. You see that it's just getting more difficult, in all places, because with AI you can just mass automate and mass personalize much better than you could do before.
I'm wondering if we go to like a world where, because even when I was doing it, like cold calling being a BDR is an incredibly hard job. Everyone's just telling you to they're being very rude to you every single day, basically. Because you are cold calling them out of the blue. But like at the time it was like cold call, email, LinkedIn, and then on the edge case, if it was a local business, you could like send like a gift or something, or like bring them a cake or something like that. But a lot of these platforms were like I think it was G2 was like a big if you're on G2, that's a great sign that you've got the G2 awards and stuff. It's like a very oh no, sorry, we only buy from this G2 section type thing. Is this is that going to become more popular then, or is that maybe even going to get sort of rinsed away?
Yeah, interesting question. So what you see, like LLMs are really relying on these reviews, but what we also see is that obviously companies try to trick that with automation, and therefore authenticated human reviews will become more important. We see that like slowly creeping in on LinkedIn, where you see this little badge where people like left their identity, right, and authenticated themselves. We believe we will see this like all over the place, that authenticated human signal will just be worth a lot more than just any other signal, because it's most probably machine generated.
Yeah.
So interesting.
It's like part of the, in a weird way, it's very similar to a lot of like, just broadly speaking, over a number of industries, we're seeing like an over-index on agentic workflows, agents in general. But what that's doing is also not making people worried, but it's also kind of putting their guards up a little bit. Like there's becoming an overall lack of trust in some of these environments. And we're seeing that even from like the media perspective. It's very trendy now for founders to go direct. Like you don't use a third party agency. You don't use a third party, like a legacy media platform. Like people want to speak to their audiences. They want to see the founders.
Does that mean you guys like bifurcate? So whenever like I don't know, as agents get ever more kind of, I don't know, popular, does that mean you guys kind of grow with that, because you're kind of you're almost like betting against it, and therefore there's just more noise, therefore more people wanting to bet against it and using you guys? Do you see that or not?
A little bit, yeah. I think we will just, like, the way how we see the future is that revenue growth infrastructure will be a layer like payment infrastructure, like databases, right? There will be this like default layer where you will have this, and then like left and right to that, you obviously try other channels in order to get to maximum distribution. I do think that the budget, there will be an increase in budget concentration. So teams will be smaller, there will be more agents, but ultimately there will be less decision makers like what product, for example, to buy. And opening the doors to these budget holders, I think will be the game of the next couple of years. And I think our infrastructure can help with that.
Yeah, that's sick. There was another. Oh, sorry.
No, go on.
Another one. Again, just when we were discussing before the call, like growth loops are replacing linear marketing channels. Would love to dig more into this. Like, how are SaaS companies building specifically the word self-reinforcing loops where product usage, customers, and communities can drive continuous growth? We've seen a number of really cool examples of this, but it's more on the media side. Like, people are doing pretty nutty viral stunts, not even just like, oh, you know, the YC company did a viral stunt. We're seeing like Series D, E, F, like B2B SaaS products actually do some pretty good ones that aren't like cringe. We would love to hear your take on that as a whole, like the growth loops.
Yeah, I saw you have Elena Werner later on, right? Like she's more or less the OG of growth. So you also might want to double click on that with her. But in general, like how we think about go-to-market is like we have a growth system at the core where we have like several growth loops linked to each other. Simple things as obviously like, you know, referrals is one growth loop, but also casual contact loop. So if someone opens up our product in the customer's product, our referral widget, there's like a little branding, right? And that branding basically educates the user what Cello actually is. And every like more customers, more users, more eyeballs on this branding will eventually lead to more customers. And therefore, every acquired customer has more worth at like on an elementary level. And then you have like linear activities at this, like, and you can feed in leads and customers from the sidelines. Like, for example, if you increase your ad spend, that is not necessarily a loop that increases your customer base, but then this increase in customer base will basically lead to more customers through growth loops at the core level. It's a bit theoretical, but if you spend a little bit of time reading about this, it's I think how every company nowadays should think about going to market.
Yeah, that's sick.
That's interesting. I wanted to ask about agent-to-agent commerce and the kind of future of what's going on in that realm, and where you guys see kind of the opportunity if that's to become, you know, they're talking about the volume kind of changes and everything else that's going on in terms of the increase in volume when agents are buying things from agents and humans aren't even in the loop. Where do you see kind of Cello being within that loop?
Yeah, I mean, that is probably from a volume perspective over time becoming more important than like humans buying. Like for high purchase decisions, there might be even still a human in the loop, but like for example, if you build a product on Lovable, like Lovable is deciding that it takes Stripe and that it takes Supabase. Like there's no human saying, I want to use Supabase at the core. And this is how you can think about, you know, agent purchases. And you have to be the one that the agents most trust and see as the best fit, basically, for a certain purchase. And therefore, you as a company have to position yourself very well so that agents understand your product is the best, basically, to pick amongst all the others out there.
Yeah.
So it's about placing the right signals, and then human authenticated, you know, social proof is the best signal, basically.
Yeah, that makes sense. Just before we let you go as well, I'd love to ask, like, the launching of the GTM 10 Awards. Can you tell us a little bit about this in particular? I know you guys did a partnership with Lightspeed. Is that this year or was that last year? I'm just making sure.
Yeah, we had the first the first stunt of that last year. So this year is now the second year in a row. Again, together with Lightspeed Venture Partners. And what we're doing is we're awarding the 10 best operators in 5 different go-to-market categories. So sales, partnerships, customer success, growth, and marketing, with the best possible jury we could come up with. And if you click on the website, click into the last year's winners, you understand like what our marketing team has been cooking there. I'm very proud of them. It's a small team, but very mighty. Yeah.
Let's go.
Love it.
Dude, so awesome. We are at time. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure. And yeah, please come back on whenever you can. We'd love to hear more.
Thank you very much for having me, guys.
Good stuff.
Stefan.
See you soon.
Have a good one.
Great to meet you. Awesome stuff. Before we have our next guests on Spectre, be the reason your fund was the deal of the decade with Spectre. Go to tryspectre.com. For this interview, we're going to have our nominal hats on.
We need to change.
Outfit change.
I gotta change the cap quickly.
Guys, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Boom.
We're just waiting for a
Okay.
thumbs up to say that you're live on ETN.
Our producer is just working on that. Also, just quickly, I can show. We've been reading the new catalog. I can't believe there is one thing in here specifically that I just thought was absolutely awesome.
The whole design is good.
The whole design is amazing. The graphics. I'm realizing this hat does not fit my head, but that's fine. This particular one, a better way to kill fish. The like this one, if you can see that. It's insane. It's so cool. It's one of the coolest. I don't know what I'd even call, like maybe marketing plays, growth plays, just general.
It's a really fun engineering application as well. It's genuinely awesome.
It's so awesome. I absolutely love it.
So good.
Yeah, I mean, we have so many questions around this.
Anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining us. You're now live. Congratulations on the raise. Huge congrats. Maybe worth kind of jumping in straight away on give us the details about it and, you guys at Nominal, how you guys are feeling, what the plan is now. I guess the work kind of really kind of starts again. Tell us more.
Yeah, it's awesome, guys. Really, really good to be here. So we're announcing we raised $80 million at $1 billion valuation. So joining thank you, joining the Unicorn Club. It's been a really exciting time at Nominal, and I think really with this fundraise, we talked about it a little bit last week, but it was totally a preemptive fundraise, which is a great place to be. We had announced a little bit earlier last year that we had raised a $75 million round from Sequoia. This round was led by Founders Fund. And I think really we're calling it an acceleration round, which is, I think, just what it is meant to mean. But things are moving fast at Nominal. We're feeling really good. And we're excited. We're growing quickly and things are great.
Let's go. You love to hear it. I did see, I can't remember where we saw this. Was it that Trey Stevens had heard from like all your customers, like, oh yeah, these guys are
they're like the essential infrastructure that we're using, and it's like, okay, well, let's put some money into those guys.
Yeah, how is that? What went down with that?
Yeah, I think the framing was, I think in the world right now, there's a lot of nice to have, technology and software, and we made it in the need to have category, which is where you always want to be, and I think Founders Fund and many of our other investors, Sequoia, Lightspeed, et cetera, I think they all have a vantage point, particularly into companies building hardware and reindustrializing right now. And I think they're hearing, from their portfolio companies and as they look out on the market, the need for like phenomenal technology. And I think Trey particularly was able to hear that, from Andrew very directly and very loudly. And I think that helped catalyze the financing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, awesome.
And you've mentioned that, and I quote you, hardware is moving too fast for the tools available to it. I wanted to ask, with Nominal now, what's the bottleneck that you guys have solved, and now what's the other what's the kind of next bottleneck that you're going to go and solve again, I guess?
This is an exciting one. I'll start, Sophie, but you can follow up. Sophie has a lot of big ideas. Yeah, we really we think of Nominal as the software platform for all hardware testing and operations. And I really add the operations piece on there, but we really want to position ourselves as the new piece of software to help you build and develop resilient hardware across the entire spectrum. So everything from manufacturing, sub-assemblies, component testing and validation through to the operations of that hardware. We started, you have to do one thing really, really well. We started with hardware testing and really developmental testing. And I think that's where we've been incredibly successful, but the product is expanding, very rapidly. And I'll tee it up to Sophie to maybe share a little bit thoughts on things she's observed in her past and where we're going to be going.
Yeah, I think it's been really interesting for a lot of folks at Nominal who are fixing the problems of their past selves. So people who were ex-hardware engineers, or they worked like me with hardware engineers. And I used to tell people, you really shouldn't be streaming your data. which was like partly because it was true and partly because it was hard. And now we've got customers who are streaming like 12 million data points a second because it's now possible. And that's the kind of thing where like you would really have been trying to steer people away from that use case before, just of how difficult it was to get that in their hands. And I think we can now be pretty confident in things like that. The next is starting to be able, as Cameron says, to roll this out to really, really high priority operational stuff. Like I think there's a recognition, maybe even more so in Europe than in America, that test never ends. Like there's the testing that you do to make sure a thing is good enough. And then there's the testing that you do every day that it's in operations because you want to make sure that it's still good enough. And so making sure that our customers are thinking about what it means to be ongoing testing and ongoing operating, that's kind of the next horizon for us.
Yeah. That's awesome. On like a question within that, Sophie, like your role, head of Europe /UK, when we were doing research, like both of your backgrounds are just incredibly well tuned to what you're both doing. Like your master's degrees is like so yours was like aeronautics masters, Dublin College. Just a number of insane. I couldn't believe what I was reading. And the same with yours, kind of like the nuclear background and also like policy as well. What I assume maybe there's going to be plans to make some hires off the back of the round potentially. What are plans for team scaling and how do you guys approach talent? Because it's background at Anduril, background at Palantir, the bar's pretty high. How do you maintain that?
The bar is high, but I think the one thing that I've always found, and this actually comes from the way that Palantir hires people as well, people with pedigree aren't always the people that you're looking for. Like amazingly intelligent people exist everywhere. And actually the richest source of incredible engineers that I've worked with are people who are in sort of like ordinary companies and they're getting a bit bored. I think I was kind of in this position myself. And so we've hired some really great people who are in really excellent engineering companies, but they're thinking, I want a bit more mission orientation. Like I go home at 5, my colleagues are all 35. I would prefer to not. And like I have a little bit more to give. And so I think Nominal has been really good at providing a home for that kind of person who's like a little bit on the obsessed end with the kind of stuff that they're working on. And so they're hard to find. They're really hard to find. But there's sort of by combination of organic network and getting our name out there, and I think this will help. But also having some really great recruiters helping us with sourcing. We've been hiring a lot of people who are engineers of a bunch of different flavors. So like I talked about Nomineers solving their past selves problems. We have loads of ex-hardware engineers. We also have loads of ex-data engineers. We've got people who worked in like high frequency trading finance because the data is the same. Like it's just very, very high scale, low latency data. And so there's a lot of people who I think would find a home at Nominal, but it's the finding that is tricky.
Yeah.
And I'll just, complete sense. Sophie, I'll build on that if I can, which is, I think we have a pretty good advantage with the mission piece. I think there's so many folks that want to work on problems of consequence is kind of what I refer to them in the world that we're living in today. But even going deeper on that, I think there's a lot of people that don't want to work on the 100th, AI company to announce, yesterday, right? And so I think it's just like it's really cool. I think to be able to, and this is truly like the global definition, but I think people are getting back to reindustrialization of building hardware again, and realizing that there's so much work that has to be done. And I think even particularly like Nominal, we sit at this really interesting intersection of data, of software, of really interesting hardware systems, and frankly, bringing that industry into the frontier of AI, right? Which is going to be our mission over the next 2, 3, 5 years, because there's been so much catching up that we've had to do, frankly. And so I think we're really positioned to like do that well. So.
I wanted to kind of change subject a little bit and talk about brand. We're ideas guys, we're not technical, but what I wanted to specifically ask is, so like, Anduril, Palantir, you both have worked at these companies. They're known for, solving very, very mission-led hard problems, but then also have an incredible brand. I wanted to ask about your kind of takes on this. Is it like is this an active decision you kind of need to really like push down this route to, one, get good talent, like attracting talent, but then also, I guess, attracting customers? Like what are your thoughts around the brand, especially when it's not normal for companies like this to kind of really lean into brand, if that makes sense.
And sorry, just this here, like schedule a consultation today with their scissors cutting out like business card things.
Yeah.
So cool.
Well, first
So
I'll frame up the, I thank you guys for having the catalog in studio. So yeah, we went a little throwback, a little retro, to an era where the best engineering, software in the world, was written down in a physical catalog. And by the way, that's waterproof and weatherproof. So if you're out at a test range,
I can walk around in London with it. It's great.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can use it as your umbrella. So we decided to do a throwback to the catalog era and ship a lot of our customers, physical catalogs. We featured a lot of the existing customers in there. On the broader brand point, I like to think about it as, there's so many things that a company has to do well to succeed. And I always want us to have, we call it like the nominal bar, but an extremely high bar, I think, for everything that you do. And I think particularly your public presence is important. It's both important internally, like people at the company being really proud of where they work and the mission. But I do think it differentiates us publicly as well when there's a sea of a lot of companies, I think, out there. But yeah, Sophie, I'm curious your thoughts.
I think it's also a manifestation of like people at Nominal have really, really strong opinions. And I think that is also true of the other two companies that you're mentioning. Like, I think Anduril's Don't Work for Anduril campaign was brilliant. Like, I really liked that, but I think it's because they have a very strong opinion about the thing that they want to build and the way they want to build it. Palantir was the same. I have never met as opinionated a group of people as I have in Nomineers, and it's on everything. So like, they're opinionated about font, they're opinionated about paper, we're opinionated about the way that you should do engineering. To go back to like Cameron's previous topic about hiring, we don't think that you should waste your life in finance. We also don't think you should waste your life building LLMs. Like, we have very strong opinions about everything, and I think it's very difficult to contain that.
Yeah.
So it comes out in stuff that looks like the catalog, and it comes out in the way we talk about stuff on the internet, and it comes out in our public presence because we all care quite a lot and are obsessed about quite a lot of the details in these things. And so that's what comes out.
Yeah, in a cool way.
I think you smashed it.
Yeah, it kind of works like a filter, right? Like it will reach the people who it should reach, and they will understand it, and they will want to be a part of the journey in a cool way.
Yeah. Agree. Before, so we've got 3 minutes left. I wanted to touch on kind of, I guess, the future of kind of hardware engineers in terms of, you're building AI agents to like not just like show you the data and manage the data, but like actually like make judgment on that data and understand physics, kinematics, whatever. Can you talk to us a little bit about what you see for the future of work within the industries that you kind of work in?
Yeah. I mean, I might start on that one, and then Cameron, your take as well. I caught the very end of Julian talking about the Copilot, Autopilot stuff before.
Yeah.
And I think this is one of the things that we're seeing with a lot of our customers, because our customers are engineers, and they, I mean, mostly rightly believe that they understand data better than a model is going to understand data. And so there are places, I think, where we are, seeing Copilots or we're seeing Autopilots, but honestly, that's not what people want. What they want is better access, better control, better ability to work with their data, but they're the ones with the judgment. And so I think there is some interesting future of work stuff around how do you make that person capable of doing twice the amount of judgment in a day by taking some of the craft away. And we are very, very opinionated about doing that for them. But I think there are a lot of places in engineering where it's not going to be about giving you some decision-making Copilot to sit on the side, because it's never going to have as much engineering taste, honestly, as you, the engineer, is going to have.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, I think I'll touch on that point quickly, which is I totally agree. And I think I kind of think about, Nominal, for us to be a generational company, we have to like execute on three things at once. We have to build for how do we get the industry quickly into 2025, which I think is where we spend a lot of points. And there's a lot of catch up to do to build just a really, really powerful tool that people love using. I think there is like, what's the next 2-3 years going to look like, where there's a lot of volatility, but frankly, we want to incorporate more and more AI into our product, but really just to give engineers power and heighten their ability to like express their taste and their engineering judgment. Then I think there's like, what is the frontier going to look like? No one knows, right? But I think a world where agents are performing a lot of the sort of like knowledge maximization, functions of hardware systems, and getting away from like discretely testing, a system point after point after point into sort of more of a like fluid state where you're always optimizing. Like that's the frontier, I think, of hardware, testing and operations. And so we want to help deliver it.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Oh,
What a
so
mission.
cool, boys, guys. It's been a pleasure. We are at time. I mean, it's an open seat for whenever you're going raise at 2 bill, 3 bill, 4 bill, whatever it is. You gotta come back.
In a couple weeks. No.
We love it.
Good stuff. Thank you so much. And thanks for the care packages. We really appreciate it.
Yeah,
Cheers, everybody.
Good stuff. See you soon. Great to meet you. Awesome stuff. Before we have our next guest on, Framer, build better sites faster. The all-in-one platform where enterprise teams design, build, and ship production-ready websites. No dev handoff, no bottlenecks, no creative compromises. Go to framer.com/ETN. We have Yasser at Chatbase in. Yasser, can you hear us? Yes, let's go. He's in the house. We're just waiting for our producer to give us the thumbs up to say you're actually.
Boom.
There we go. You're
live.
live.
Here's some trumpets as well. Welcome to the show, dude.
Hey.
Absolute pleasure to have you in here. How are things?
Yeah, everything is good. How about you guys?
We're good. Doing well.
We're having a great day.
There's been a good day of news today, which in our world is a great thing. But we're not here to talk about us. We're here to talk about you. We introduced you this morning as the Bootstrap King. I want to hear about, and we had to caveat as well, because we saw there was a stat that was you guys reached 1 million ARR, in 117 days. And you did it when it was really, really, really hard to do that as well. So maybe like a little bit about the origins of Chatbase could be awesome as a way to kick off.
Yeah, so I started Chatbase early 2023. So I think probably the best time to start an AI company. It was right before when ChatGPT was launched was such a good time to have like an AI company running. I started coding it even before ChatGPT was a thing. So the first version of it was using GPT-3. And then I saw the build in public community, and then I started, building in public with them, talking about what I'm building. And first few versions people loved because ChatGPT became a big hit, and then the idea of uploading your specific data to ChatGPT was very new back then, because back then you could only talk to the base model, but you couldn't add like specific data or custom data to it. So that was the first version of Chatbase. I launched that with just like a Screen Studio demo. And this got, I think, like 2,000 likes when I had like 16 followers on X. And I got my first customer like 30 minutes after I put on a pricing page.
No way. Let's go. I love it. It's so cool.
So funny.
I mean, look, we've got so many questions. The first one I wanted to talk about conversational agents. You said before that you feel like every business should and will have its own conversational agent. It will integrate with, whatever, Shopify, Stripe, everything. Talk to us about that. Talk to us about the kind of, I guess, the headline thesis behind Chatbase and what you guys are doing for the market in general.
Yeah, I think it's now kind of obvious. It's the consensus that conversational agents are going to become a thing. I think like every company had to build a website to go onto the digital space. I think now every company will have an AI agent that represents the company to their customers. So I think it goes beyond customer support. I think customer support was the easy entry point. But I think a conversational agent that knows everything about the company, that knows everything about the brand, talks like the brand, is connected to all the systems, can take actions. I think we're seeing that already, like in production, people are using, and I think it's going to get more and more prevalent as the models become better. And I think it's just, it's going to happen sooner or later that most of the interactions between individuals or consumers and the companies will be through a conversation rather than clicking around a website.
So it's like almost like in my mind, I'm picturing like an LLM interface basically, and I'm just chatting to that instead of I'm, opening a new tab, going to Google, searching for a product. It's just connected to everything essentially.
Yeah, like imagine you want to change your billing address. So now you would have to go to like profile tab and then like your billing tab and then scroll down to the address and then you put in your address. But you can just say like, hey, I moved to this place, can you update my address? And it changes that. I think that's like the most intuitive way to do things, because humans have been like having conversations for a while. So I think it's like just the natural way to communicate.
Dude, this is so, like, I'm now thinking as well, I mean, weird use case here, but like, even on Netflix, if you had something that you could just talk to your Netflix account about, like, hey, I'm looking for a film, like something like this, but not like that, maybe, in this genre a bit.
Yeah,
like,
I didn't think about like it opens up to like the normies basically being able to kind of use this, because it's just you're talking to humans anyway, so you might as well talk to your computer, which is interesting. I wanted to also touch on your like the goal for Chatbase 2026, like strategic simulation. I think you guys have kind of mentioned about where the Chatbase agents are like proactively scanning needs of the customer, and there isn't a need for an input. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so Chatbase and companies like Chatbase sit in an interesting layer because, one, they know everything about the business because you have to like train them on everything about the business. They're connected to all the systems, so they're connected to the CRM, to your point of sale, your Stripe, your Shopify, and they're having conversations with customers all day. So I think it's very obvious that there has like this AI knows maybe more about your business than, let's say, like an average employee at the company, because one, they're trained on every piece of data and content, and they're having conversations all day, every day with all the customers. So they know like what pain points they have, they know what they like, what they don't like, and there is just a ton of valuable information that would be buried within all of those conversations. And right now, it's just hard to find that information. And I think a technology like LLMs, so a part of it is, talking to customers, solving their problems. But the other part, which I think is going to be more valuable, is helping you improve your business, because it knows your customers, it knows your business, it knows you too. Like, so it can ask you questions about your goals, and then like it's smart enough to help you because it has all the context it needs.
Yeah. Also, I saw a tweet actually this morning talking about how you should just use it as a strategic thing anyway, right? I think the tweet basically said like, my whatever LLM, I think it was like ChatGPT, has been better at strategic decisions than any human that I've ever talked to. And it's not even like it knows that much context about you. It just knows necessarily, I guess, the fundamentals of the business that you're building, and that's it. It's such an I think more people should be using it as a strategic thing than they do.
I think so. That's what I do. And I think that's what a lot of my smart founder friends are doing. I think it's like sparring. Like, you give it idea after idea, and then you try to make it tell you why this idea is bad and why this idea is good. And I think like all the newer models are they're very good at this.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's so interesting. It probably pulls me into something else that I wanted to ask about was you mentioned like all founders should embrace boredom. And I think that's where like the best kind of ideas come from. And then you can I guess, feed them into your LLM, right? To kind of make these strategic decisions. Talk to us a little bit about that. And about how you, I guess, structure your day and your work around that thesis.
Yeah. So I think as founders, like the founders I know are mostly chronically online. Like, you can't not be, because things are changing so fast. And if you miss like one day, you missed like a whole bunch of information. So you kind of have to, and like it's just there's so much pull to like know every detail on like what's happening. But I think so. I was like that, but I think when I stopped doing a lot of that and like be more calm, try to like think about things like that matter actually to me and to my business. And I think now I don't even have to force myself to think. You just exist, but you don't do anything. But because you're passionate about something and you're passionate about the business and like growing the company, in my case, then like ideas are gonna come. And I think a lot of founders don't have time to do that. A lot of founders are just like constantly putting out fires and, like meeting after meeting after meeting and like hiring and firing and, like raising. It's just so much stimulation that they don't have time to think of, like new good ideas. They're just, I would say, like recycling what all of the information that's coming into them, and like they're making decisions based on that instead of thinking about things from first principles and like from just completely new ideas because they let their minds wander.
Yeah.
So I think that's very valuable, especially if you're a founder.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that's so true. It's like that reactive, proactive mindset shift that you're constantly dealing with.
Yeah.
Something that like we I guess are poised to ask you from a place of privilege in a way. Like you have crossed 8 million ARR with only 18 people as a bootstrapped founder. Like what do you have like advice for founders today that are maybe like the barrier to entry to be a solo founder is probably the lowest it's ever been with stuff like OpenClaw or like the whole agentic world. Like what do you say today to the people who are trying to decide, like, do I raise VC funding? Do I just crack on my own? Like, is there a right decision? When is the right time? When is not? Like, if you have any advice.
So I think my advice is that this decision is just very personal. I don't think there's right or wrong here. I think there's advantages to both, but I also think the barrier to entry for being a solo founder is just like as you said, has never been lower, and that might not be a good thing. Like you want things to be hard so you can stand out. So right now, like there's going to be a ton of competition in anything that is like low barrier to entry, especially in AI. Like now anyone can build probably anything. And if you're a solo founder, there is just not enough like advantages you have over other solo founders. But if you do raise, that's like an advantage. But the problem that comes with that is the definition of success also changes. So you can't raise and like be happy at, even like 50 million ARR. That's not a good outcome. So if I can give you what I think is the advantages of bootstrapping versus raising. I think bootstrapping, the main advantage is the freedom. I think if you're a person that values freedom and you think like you're delusional enough to think that you can beat out all the other people that want to make money online on their own, then I think it's a good path. But it is hard, I would say. And also things like money makes you a lot more aggressive that you can be without the money. And like VCs actually like do give you value, I think. Like I think introduction to customers, especially if you're building in B2B, is very important, and that's something you don't get if you bootstrap. But then on the other side, raising has like some disadvantages, which is the definition of success. Like when you can say that this was a success is just so much higher that I think you have probably a higher chance of having like a successful outcome if you bootstrap, because like I think from what I've seen, getting to let's say like 20 million ARR bootstrapped, I think, which is like would be an amazing outcome, I think, for anyone. I think that might be easier than getting to like 500 million ARR when you raise a lot of money, especially in like a very crowded space, because you'll be competing with giants.
It kind of pulls me quickly to the last question about your article, King Make Yourself. I've said this before, genuinely one of the best articles I've read on X before, and I don't mean that lightly. I wanted to ask, you mentioned the amount of competition out there and everything. What's your advice with that in mind, with the kind of king make yourself? I've sent it to a bunch of friends because I was like, this actually could, it changes like the way you think about how you win, I assume.
Yeah, that's true. I think the summary of that article, and I think what people should take away from it is, like the advice of delusional self-belief, where I think that's something you need if you want to be successful in probably anything you do. You have to believe that you can actually do it. Mm-hmm. So I think that's the first layer. But I think the second layer is, which is king making yourself, is having that, but externally, like to the world, instead of like only having that for yourself. So only believing in yourself and like containing that within you. I think king making yourself is just putting that to the world and making sure everyone else believes in you too. That's like the summary of the article.
I love it. Yeah. I love it. Yeah. Awesome. So cool. Dude, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. And keep smashing it. Open seat whenever you want to come back on.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Good stuff. See you soon.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye. Before we have our next guest on, just quickly leave outdated business banking behind with Airwallex, the all-in-one financial platform built for the pace of modern business, multi-currency accounts, corporate cards, expense management, online payments, all in one platform. Go to airwallex.com.
We are welcoming Eleanor Werner, growth at Lovable, but the title owes so much more to what it says on LinkedIn, a legend of the game. We've been talking about the CV background. It's one of the most nuts ones we've ever seen, especially within growth. Are we live right now? We are. Eleanor, welcome to the European Technology Network. It's an absolute pleasure to host you here. We've really been looking forward to the conversation. How is your day going?
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
So awesome. Eleanor, before we kick off, the big thing that we were looking to discuss today and the big thing that you're here to talk to us about is the She Builds program from Lovable. If I'm getting this completely right, on International Women's Day, which is Sunday, the 8th of March, just gone, the entire platform was made to be free access. Can you maybe tell us a little bit about that and also the She Builds program as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And you said exactly right. We made Lovable completely free to everyone on March 8th in order to not just have another panel or discussion that we need more women in tech, that we need more access, that we need more people lean into AI and to tech. We just decided to lower all of the barriers, remove all of the friction, and just have everybody figure out what is possible. So we had so many people show up from existing people that already wanted to dig in and understand what else is possible on the platform right now. We had over 100,000 new people show up. There were 120 events across 40 countries across the world where women and men, everybody came together and just built and explored what's possible. It was magical.
That's so cool.
Awesome. And this is in many ways, it's a growth play, right? And it's an amazing one as well. Right? You just mentioned the amount of net new customers, net new users you had sign up, which is just genius way. Something that we discussed just before you came on was your background. You're SVP of growth at SurveyMonkey, SVP of consumer product at Malwarebytes, interim CMO at Miro, advisor at MongoDB, Ledgy, Vidio, Superhuman, Vimeo, Dropbox.
This goes on.
Partner, I could go on forever. Now growth at Lovable. What is changing over time in the growth role? We're talking over the last sort of 5 to 8 years. What's happening for growth specifically, just as an industry?
Yeah, so growth to me is defined of just you take existing product that is there and you try to figure out the best distribution for it. And growth for the last 15 years has been mostly an optimization problem. So how is it that you can tweak the user experience to just get better acquisition, better activation out of customers, better monetization? But those optimization work, that optimization work is actually not working anymore. So to me, the growth role in the last year has been completely going through a complete reform. And right now it's all about how can you give your product away the most strategic way possible in order to get people to give it a try and to really give it an adoption. How is it that you can align monetization with outcomes, not just increase prices or yank it as soon as possible when the customer signs up. And then the third piece is how do you build community around your product? How do you make people care about what you're building and have them vouch for you? So it went from really like funnel optimizations. How do I make my pricing page be more clear and easy to use? How can I onboard people? And now it's all about these really massive growth plays of really giving your product away and building a following behind your company.
I feel like everything you just said there is so akin to Lovable, right? You can kind of see that it's ingrained within like the product, right? Talk to us a little bit about the way that you guys think specifically about the growth of the product. You have an amazing community. You have amazing, as Ronan just mentioned, like abilities for people to just go and try the product. Yes. The kind of program was a great kind of GTM play of kind of increasing people using it, but it's also just like you're doing what Lovable does best, right? You're getting people to use amazing products. That's it.
It's a growth play second. Really, the first is just giving access to people to explore what is possible. So we really put customer and value at the forefront of it, because to me, growth is trust problem. Nowadays, it's not about how good your product is. Feature differentiation is falling apart right now. There's no product that can be feature differentiated anymore. So we're getting back to basics of brand, of value, and about that community and following, building in public, and having people root for you. Have them build the product together with you, and help you figure out what's actually should be next. But when we think about growth at Lovable, it's actually really done through creating lovable experiences, and growth follows. So we're not trying to make it trackable in terms of it has to produce some output for us from monetary perspective in a short period of time. We're really investing into delighting our customers as much as possible, and the rest kind of comes along, and we obviously stitch together delight with actual monetary outcomes, and we look at that journey as well. But we lead with just delight the customers, blow their socks off, the rest will follow.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned something within that as well, the build in public thing. Lovable do an incredible job at this. Anton, in my mind, from a European founder perspective, in a way, has been a bit of a front runner for this, especially on X. Like, he was all the stuff with like the early GPT engineer, I think it was, the past failed 3 launches. Were they failures? Were they not? Like, and then the final successful one that is Lovable today. Like, he's done an amazing job at one, your BS building in public and building a following around Lovable, but 2, being a figurehead for the next generation of founders coming through. I feel like him, Max at Legora, Nick at Atio, and a few of these sort of other European greats that are kind of coming up at the moment. What is the building in public thing how does Lovable do it so well? Because it seems like every person at the company is on X, like constantly showing what they're building, constantly grinding.
Exactly. So I actually will say 2 things about this. Number one, the distribution network that we use to distribute product through is collapsing. Paid marketing, really hard to succeed with. Organic search, really hard to get through. It's so crowded. AEO, so AI, discovering your product and telling you about your customers, nobody knows how to do it. It's like a moving target right now. The only thing that's working right now is social, but social not from paid perspective. It's from organic creator-led perspective. So how much audience and reach do I have, and how many people can I tell about the product and hook them in a meaningful way? So we call it employee-led socials, and we encourage everybody to build in public, to tell about their failures, about their successes. This is actually a pretty big counter pattern to most companies that tell their employees to zip it on socials, to go through legal department, to say only the right thing, to say only the approved things. We just say, go be out there, show personality, show who you are, so people know who's building this product behind them, and that really matters. But Anton, you're absolutely right. He really spearheaded, and I think so much of Lovable success is because of what Anton has created in that movement, and he brought people behind him, and which brings me to my second point. People want to know, so when in the era where product is no longer differentiated in features, people want it to be human, because we're going back to that human connection, because technology is catching up on all of the functionality. So by building in public, we're showing who is behind the product, and people love that. They connect with us, we connect with them, and we can hear their feedback straight on the front lines, and we can go and execute it behind it. There's so many times that I even see something. I'm big on LinkedIn. This is the social platform that I chose to invest into. I see something that people are saying, and I'm like, okay, we should go fix it. I go and I fix it, and it's live in 20 minutes. That is the feedback loop that we're creating with customers to make sure that we are constantly, they feel that we're invested in their success, because we are. but we are all on socials making sure that we're feeding that back into a product.
Yeah, so awesome.
It's so clever. Ronan kind of touched on it, and I kind of want to zoom out a little bit on the piece that, you know, you've got these kind of spearheads of European tech, kind of being the educator to younger founders, or any founder really, to say, hey, look, this can be done. I want to kind of touch on a little bit about that, about what you're finding is happening in Europe, and what that means for the kind of whole European ecosystem.
Yeah, so there's been like almost a very negative narrative when it comes to tech in Europe, that you have to be in US in order to succeed, that you have to be in Silicon Valley, maybe New York in order to make it work. But I think that's shifting very rapidly. Our Lovable Stockholm main headquarters is in Stockholm, and I'm from US. I've worked in US companies for the last almost 20 years of my life, and I have never seen such a group of people that are passionate, that have so much agency, that have so much autonomy, and have so much drive as what is happening in Stockholm, in Sweden right now. So I think that we're at the tipping point where you can build an incredible billion-dollar business anywhere in the world. You just need to pull the right people together, and those people are everywhere. They're global. They're not just sitting in Silicon Valley in California, and that's where you have to be in order to create a tech startup. So I'm excited for Lovable's success, and for other companies, 11 Labs and everybody else who is actually starting out of Europe, because we need tech to be global. It cannot be built by a narrow group of people, because then it's only represents and serves a narrow group of people as well. So I'm so excited for this change to finally happen as a person from US, so we can build for everyone, by everyone.
That's awesome. You love to hear it, especially on the European Technology Network. A bit of a sidestep. So one of our previous guests, Gokul, who is the founding partner at Marathon, he actually recently quoted one of your Substack articles you put out, the one that was titled "Revenue Addiction Kills Companies."
Oh, yes.
And he praised it. He said, he said he's been banging that drum for ages, and he's so happy that you put it out there. And he quote tweeted you as well and referenced your article. Would love to I love the heading. The heading is just so great. I'd love to get an understanding of like what this article meant. What was your meaning here? Would love to hear more about it.
Yeah, I've been trying to grow companies for the last 20 years. And one pattern that I see over and over again is the business starts fresh. It feeds on the idea, on the problem, on the solution. It's full of innovation. And then investors come in, and then leadership team comes in, and then become these quarterly targets that you all of a sudden have to hit. Now, when you're a public company and you have to hit quarterly earning targets in order for the street to react the right way and for your stock price to be something, I kind of understand. No, not kind of. I do understand that. But even then, you have to reserve the room for innovation. But what I see happening a lot of times, which really hurts my heart, and I think killing tech ecosystem, is that type of pressure happens in private companies. That doesn't matter if they hit quarterly targets. It doesn't matter if they hit their number for a year, because they're still figuring it out. That's why they're still private as a whole, because they're not ready to go into this public debut. And yet they put so much pressure on each other to hit those quarterly revenue numbers that they kill all of innovation. They literally grind themselves to a halt on being able to innovate and keep up with the technology in the space. And once they start squeezing with some dark patterns, price increases, making access smaller, making language more harder, just to get more revenue in this 1 month, in this one quarter, then you stop actually investing into the future. Now, the reason that I wrote that article right now, even though I felt that it was a very nasty thing that happens in private companies for a long time, is that right now we're in the age of AI transformation technologically, and we all have to take a leap into the future. The way that we build at Lovable is not to hit our quarterly numbers, not to hit monthly numbers. We're taking a leap of faith. We don't know what's going to work, but we have to run ahead of the market. We have to invest into innovation, and then we will figure out how monetization model and how all of those other pieces are going to fit. But too few companies are taking that seriously right now, and I think that that's going to cause the demise of a lot of businesses. Maybe not in the next 3 months, but by the end of the year, we're really going to feel that ripple through the tech space if those companies don't adjust the way that they are thinking about the future and how they're evaluating their success.
Yeah,
so interesting.
That's I mean, it's a lesson for everyone there. Right, you got to capture the value that no one else is seeing, I guess, in a way. And who better to do it than
not have your existing users drag you down. You can't just completely optimize for your existing historical business. Everything is changing at the moment.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. And
it's an open
genuine masterclass. It was cool.
Yeah, people are going to love that. Yeah, that's going to be good. Thank you so much, Eleanor. Appreciate it. Have a great day.
See you soon.
Ciao, ciao.
Amazing stuff. We have the man of the hour
on the show. I mean, get him going. Get the trumpets playing. We have got some news up in here. Where do we begin?
Are we live?
Are we live right now?
We're just waiting for.
We are just waiting. I'm just gonna ping. Okay, to go. David, can you hear us? Okay, amazing. Okay, nice.
We're live. Here we go.
We are live to go. We are live.
There we go. David's live on ETN.
Where do we start? I think I know where we start. What's going on, David? The news has come out. What's going on over there at HQ?
I got to tell you, last time we met, I left our interview. And I will say this podcast is the podcast that launched 1,000 ships. I walked out of the room, I turned to Max, and we got inbound from 2 different VCs to kickstart our Series D fundraise. So this podcast is the podcast that launched 1,000 term sheets.
I mean, what do you do? Put the European.
I mean, we're doing Shocked. We're doing European way. I don't know what to say, David. That's you're too kind. No, I'm sure it was you. It was all you.
It's the brilliant work you guys are doing.
Fast forward to today, we are announcing that Legora has raised 550 million Series D round at a 5.55 billion evaluation. We're very proud of this, but we're more proud of the outcome that we're delivering for our customers on a daily basis.
Insane news. It's I mean, we were shocked. We were speechless. I think everyone who has seen the news is shocked. It's such a massive round. It's such an amazing new opportunity. And I think we read somewhere, what was it that Max said? It was like, we haven't even spent any of the money.
Yeah, he was like, we haven't even spent the Series C. But it's just like the aggression to kind of really like take the market is it's
I mean, they taste blood.
Really
they taste blood.
Yeah,
that's what Legora do. They wake up and they taste blood.
Exactly. Well, look, let's.
I'm an American, so I'm learning my Swedish words on a daily basis. The Swedish word is blodsmack, which means you wake up with the metallic taste of blood in your mouth every day. But to Max's point, we have every dollar from our Series C in the bank. We actually have a majority of our Series B in the bank, and so post this round, we have $750 million that we can invest in our infrastructure, in our team, in our expansion capabilities. And it's all going to serving our customers, into expanding our footprint, into building additional offices, being close as possible to our customer base.
Mm-hmm. Huge. And look, talk to us specifically about where those dollars are going. We read that obviously it's the US expansion is a huge focus, and I believe you're opening. So you've got an office in Denver and New York, opening in Chicago, and I forget the other place.
Houston. Don't forget about Texas. It's our biggest state.
Okay, there you go. Well, look, talk to us about that. Talk to us about the focus of Legora. I'm sure so many things are going on, but it's probably hard, but very important to stay very focused on the mission.
Totally. Yeah. So this funding round coincides with Legora's first anniversary in the United States. It's kind of mind-blowing to believe that a year ago we didn't exist in the US, and today it's actually our largest country on a revenue basis. Wow. And in just 1 year, Legora's global customer base has grown from 200 customers to over 800 customers. Our markets served have grown from 20 countries to over 50 countries. And we've just announced a series of incredible customer wins and partnerships, including White & Case, Cleary Gottlieb, Goodwin, which is really underscoring US as a core growth market. We're also seeing that the second mover position is stronger than the first mover advantage. And I think we've seen throughout the years, whether it's Ramp and Brex, Databricks, and Snowflake, that we're benefiting from a number of recent big wins and rips. And so this funding enables us to invest in talent, infrastructure, new offices. We're expanding our footprint, as you mentioned, in Houston, Chicago. It allows us to be closer to our legal and our commercial hubs. But I promise you're going to see a lot more expansion this year. You're going to see a number of additional cities being launched. and a number of additional products being launched so that we can continue to serve our customers.
Mm-hmm. Let's go.
And talk to us about that kind of second mover advantage. I'm super interested about it because, yes, as you mentioned, you're seeing it in so many of these different industries, and it's such an interesting dynamic. And you have this in tech, but it's now everything is going on all at once. Talk to us about that. Talk to us about how you guys are kind of positioning to be the forerunner.
We're lucky. We get to see what works and doesn't work. We didn't spend our time fine-tuning models to no avail. And I think it goes back to that capital efficiency point that I mentioned before. In Lagora's history, we burned sub $60 million. And so we are adding more on the top line than we're burning as a business. And this equates to something called the burn ratio. And as long as I can keep my burn ratio less than 1, I'm viewed as a capital efficient business. And so I look at a number of key ratios, whether it's my payback period, which is sub 10 months. I look at my net retention rate, which is over 300%. And I have some of the healthiest metrics in the business. And this goes back to the fact that I can see what works and what doesn't work, and I can navigate very efficiently how to build a very thoughtful and smart business. And again, I kind of keep teasing this ARR growth stat, but in very short order, we will take the covers off of how Lagora has fared. And when we do, you'll be quite surprised and impressed by the growth rate that we've been able to achieve.
Yeah, it's one of the most nut stories. I mean, we can even globally, really. Remember last time we spoke, it's one of the fastest scaling companies ever with the Salesforce. It's been the fastest YC company of all time. I remember when we spoke to Max on the Series C, he was saying we asked him what are some of the hurdles that you guys are kind of coming up against? And Max was like, not to sound cocky, but the biggest hurdle is that we just don't have enough people to service the demos. We can't keep up with the inbound. So I'm guessing today it's just going bananas.
Ronan, I can't underscore this enough. Every single ramp rep last year smashed their quota. The average attainment across all of our sales reps was over 200%. And when you look at the quota versus the OTE of a rep, it's over 10x. And so we're wildly efficient, yet every single rep is making a ton of money. Our best rep last year is 23 years old and brought in over $7 million of net new business. The guy is crushing, and he's a star, but every single rep is a star because you have a best-in-class product. And so all I can say is www.lagora.com/careers, because time to join Lagora, we have a ton of money in the bank, we have a best-in-class product, and our biggest problem right now is we need more bodies to go after the big opportunity.
Yeah. It's this is alone as an announcement is a great recruiting campaign, right? Headlines. I mean, we saw it in Bloomberg. I'm sure it's been picked up because we were reacting live because we knew the news was breaking, but we thought had we posted our post too early because we couldn't see it at first. But then I was just making an error on the search. But we saw it in Bloomberg. This is obviously a majorly strategic push as well, but from a recruitment perspective, this must be doing wonders for you guys as well.
Yeah, we're very fortunate that we now have offices in New York, Stockholm. We just inked another office in the UK. We have offices kind of all throughout the United States now. And so there are plenty of opportunities to join a local office, and we'll be announcing a number of additional offices. We will collect over 200,000 applications this year. And so we are very fortunate that we get to look at some of the best-in-class talent. And we have lots of roles. We're going to be growing from 300 headcount to over 900 headcount this year. So there are plenty of opportunities to join. In just the US alone, we're going to finish at over 300 headcount. So again, apply, come join, come have some of the best time in your career. This is not a recruiting plug, but it's more of a fundraise announcement, but is quickly turning into a recruiting plug.
Live on the show. I love it. I wanted to ask about your role as CFO. We asked before the last time you came on, and you were like, guys, if you saw the books, it would be crazy. I can't wait to basically show you. Talk to us about what this means for the CFO role. Things are moving so fast in this industry, but then also other industries. How does that? I'm sure you've never experienced growth like this. How does that make your job? Obviously, I'm sure super exciting, but what does that mean for your job?
It's so interesting. I was speaking at the Goldman Sachs conference in London last week, And there was this moment of realization that there are very few AI CFOs out there right now. And we're basically astronauts in the sense that we're exploring space together for the first time. And we are coming up with the playbook, meaning there's really no playbook for how to walk up gross margins in an AI business, because we are relying on Anthropic and OpenAI, and we're trying to figure out how do you build core differentiation when you're heavily leveraging Microsoft Azure, Anthropic, and OpenAI. And how do you build a seat-based model as well as a consumption-based model? And how do you figure out how much do you depend on engineers versus the LLMs? And these are all questions that don't have answers. And that's both exciting and challenging at the exact same time. And so as a CFO for an AI company, we don't really have a peer community yet. Like if you think about some of the other best-in-class AI companies like Sierra and Decagon and Lovable, well, Lovable has a CFO, or Replit, like they don't have CFOs yet. And so the group is continuing to grow. And I would say like we need to band together and like bounce these ideas off of each other, but it's really early innings. And so I'm here to like share these learnings with the other CFOs. But it's an exciting time to be building in this space.
Yeah. We asked the same question to the CFO of Synthesia, and he said the same thing, right? It's just like, it's so early. There's so many different things that you guys can do, and you're being pulled in all these different directions. But it's also for the right people who are highly agentic in terms of, they have high agency. It's like the world is your oyster. You can go and build so many different things. It's great.
It's I've never had more fun. It's I've been in SaaS now for 15 years, and at some point, like the road ahead has been tried and tested so many different times, and the KPIs become somewhat well worn. But now you get to tell the story the way you want to tell the story. And so one of the key metrics during this fundraise was time spent on platform. And we showed a 3x increase since July in time spent on platform, and how it equated to basically how much time you spent writing emails per day. And so the fact that our users are spending as much time in-app on Legora, driving token usage as they do writing emails shows you how critical Legora is as a key solution, as email is. And for investors, that was one of the key differentiators. That's one of the key reasons why we saw 20 different VCs pile into this round. And this round, which started out as a $300 million round, quickly swelled to $550 million. We had over $1 billion of demand. And I think that key metric was one of the key reasons why we saw so much demand.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. That's so cool. What happens with you guys have just dominated Europe in your category. There's no question about that. There's no doubt about that. And now you're going off to US to continue to dominate now globally. How have things been in Europe since you've joined? I know the US has been popping off for a while. How is this? You're still trying to take over the whole of Europe. You're still trying to take over the whole. Well, I guess it's the whole of the world now is the plan. It's global domination.
So we think of ourselves as a global company, and we're Delaware C Corp. I mentioned before that the US is actually our single largest country. Europe is our headquarters, and it's our engineering hub, and we benefit from some of the greatest engineering talent in the world. As we continue to grow, we will build out additional engineering hubs just because there's other great talent to tap into. And there are structural advantages to having more time zones and being closer to our customers. And so our job is to follow the sun and to have sales, go-to-market talent, engineering talent all over the world. We also are very fortunate that we're building out executives all over the world. And so that is very different than the rest of our competition. We are a global company serving a global customer base. You will see a number of announcements this week. This is legal week. And so every single day, it will be another great announcement. And you will see a number of European announcements that speak to the fact that our European roots are still intact, and that we still have a foothold in the European community while also building on our US momentum.
Let's go.
So cool.
Let's
I love
go.
it. It's,
We'd love to see it.
it's just so cool to hear the strategy behind it and everything that gets kind of built behind it. It's awesome. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak on this on, I'm sure, a very busy day for you.
Yeah. Wait, what have you got planned for the rest of the day? We've got 1 minute left. Last question.
So today I will be doing an interview at the closing bell at the New York Stock Exchange. And
boom. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, there's no other way to top an ETN interview, but I'll
You're too kind.
And we'll have a nice dinner with Excel later tonight to memorialize the day and get back to work, of course, because we have customers to serve.
Let's do it. Love it.
Yeah, David, always such a pleasure, man. Congrats on such an amazing day.
For the time.
Yeah, no, always. Cheers, dude. Have a good one.
We'll see you soon.
Take care, guys.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye. Awesome stuff. That is the show wrapped up. But before we do that, be the reason your fund wins the deal of the decade. Go to trispector.com. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. One of our biggest shows to date. We'll see you on Thursday for another huge show.